What's up? What's up? What's up? We gonna get it started in a minute. What's up? What's up? Peace, 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 peace. Mm-hmm. Man. Hold up. Yeah, yeah, we gonna get started in a minute. Peace. This was waiting. Somebody hit me up. We're gonna get started. We got a few things that we're gonna discuss today. So apologies for that. Gotta get that kind of set up. 1 second. We're gonna get started. But yeah, I hope everybody having a good day. All over the globe. We got a few topics we want to discuss. Want to kind of continue to build on a discussion we were having yesterday about nationality, and I was talking about a few things. And so I said today we can go a little bit more, how can I say, we can dig a little bit deeper into the topic that we were talking about yesterday about nationality, you know, governs all events every day, and law governs all events, but understanding context of who you are as a people, you know. And so yesterday we spoke of white by law. We're going to touch on that information, and we're going to touch on the sf-181 form, and if time permits, I may touch on two documents. One is I say document, but it's like a book. If you want to say it's about 20 pages, if you would say that a book, I call it a catalog. And another one is a book. But we're gonna have that good discussion with our brothers and sisters, because that's gonna get us where we need to be. That's the only thing that's gonna get us to a position of, how can I say, liberation. It has to be something that we can agree on as a people. Once again, I tell everyone that's my mission. You know, I've been through all those different houses, and to have those conversations, I usually call them barbershop conversations. That's really not going to solve none of the things that's really relevant today, you know. And what's relevant today with everything that's going on is exactly knowing who you are. A people that were so-called subjugated for their skin tone, you know, so-called historically, so-called religiously, should know who they are. Excuse me. Excuse me. Let me get a drink of water. Excuse me. But knowing who you are is so important. And before I get into the main topic, I'll talk about a document. It's called the Real Indian is the Negro, aka the Blackamoor, and it's full with a lot of powerful information, a lot of things that you can challenge brothers and sisters that may say they know things or may profess something, but then will arbitrarily explain things to you the wrong way because they know you may not have the information. And the questions that you may ask or may not ask prove to certain individuals that you may not know what's going on, so they can say anything. But this is a powerful document that you can read, you can study, you can compare and contrast from different historical books, different documents. When you study in the Library of Congress, or if you study the Royal Archives and you research real American history and what was going on in the world, and you can start seeing things and seeing why people in different so-called Masonic orders and different religious organizations, they use this history and knowing who you are for a reason. And that's why a lot of them dress like you in clandestine, you know? So this document right here is a very powerful document. And we're gonna jump through this document. I'm not going to stay too far in it because I want to build people up on some history, and I hope people share and like what we're talking about so you can see what's going on. When we talk about his documents, first we like to see the year and who had these documents so we can know some of your own people that profess themselves as this or that may have had these documents already and may not have shared it with their members or members of the past when we diss things that we may not know. And that's a character flaw. But this document was written and sent to all the students in the ministry of Islam in the wilderness of North America by Elijah Muhammad, servant of Allah. Now listen to the date: 4/2/1936 and January 18th, 1963. So this document that I'm gonna, cover a little bit and try to go through each chapter before we get to the main topic, because we're setting a precedent of information and the information. And what I'm trying to say, the information has always been here. We just haven't been into the know. And when our people, our brothers and sisters that be in these so-called Masonic groups, they have the information, they won't share it. Or some of them are in these groups and don't know. So we're into the know, and we're going to let the rest of the stuff sit where it sits. So let's proceed. A lot of this is called the real Indian is the Negro, aka the Blackamoor. The oldest body found in America is that of a Negroid named Lucy. So we're going to talk about some symbology on here because we're in class, and anybody can ask anything, any questions, long as it's in the proper context. Please, we don't want to be all over the place. So, ancient Kufic script was employed for the Arabic language before the modern Arabic came into general use. This example dates from approximately 700 AD and occurs in Nevada, which is United States of America, in Nevada, where it was mistaken for Amerindian markings of about 1000 BC. It's actually a religious text and reads Nabi, Allah, Muhammad. Allah's prophet is Muhammad. It was probably cut into the rock as part of the permanent school lessons of the Muslim settlers of the South West. Sample of words from Saga America by Barry Fell. The origin of Kufic, or the angular style of Arabic script, is traced back to about 100 years before the foundation of Kufa, 17H-638 CE, to which town it owes its name because of its development there. Note from S.M.E. Imamuddin, Arabic Writings in Arabic Libraries, 1983, Taha Publishings in London, page 12. Page 12. So, what you say, brother? All right. Gratitude to you too, family. Let me set it up a little bit. So I got another social media that I'm dealing with, and I'm seeing how that's going to work. And these are a group of college students. So gratitude to y'all for tapping in, and gratitude to y'all professor for allowing y'all to listen to me as you take these studies. So I give y'all honor and thank everyone for donations. Thank everyone. Once again, I gotta give that. But as we give some of the pre-topic, this is a lot of stuff that's not talking academia. So when I say a lot of brothers and sisters have a line drawn down their back, and certain individuals that's teaching or that's giving them Eurocentric or Negrocentric propaganda, they know, especially if they are part of any organization, because the information is there. I just showed you a group of Nation of Islam had this in North America in the early 30s and 60s. So I'm bringing things back to brothers and sister remembrance. I'm resurrecting things. So I want us to be clear on this when we got to stop pointing a finger at other people and understand that all this comes from within. I hope we clear with this. We should be looking at all our educators, all our teachers with the cross eye, not no one else, because that's the wrong energy to be given. If we educators and scholars and all these titles that we can put behind our names, and we're not teaching a group of people who they are and what they are in history, religion, and keep talking about Jesus gonna fix it, that's a problem, especially for your children, especially for the next generation. And the next generation is us. We still promulgating a lie, a fallacy, something can't be proven, which if you're using the proper vernacular, which is stupid as an adult. So when we look at real things from educating from history, we have to stop letting people tell us who we are and what we are, and let your own brother and sister tell you that has that expertise. We have to stop getting it with this entertainment, because none of that's going to save us. It's cool to be entertained, but we should have some substance. But the Kara, called the Kufic script, is the earliest Kara, so-called Arabic script, and is related to the family of Muhammad through Ali, Fatima, and Bilali. Bilali's descendants moved through Africa to West Africa, present-day Morocco, and across the seas to the Americas, and left the inscriptions in Nevada at a school established there. The Arabic script, Khatt, Khat, is the one which is now known as Kufic. From it evolved all the present pens, from all the present pens, all the present writings. Note from Abi al Abbas, Ahmad al Qadishandi, all those names, all those documents in 1914, volume 3, all these volumes. And so, what he say? This is better than a TED talk. And you know what? I hope we get there as the right people start dealing with us, because I deal with the right people and my people know my voice, and that's all color of people. Our will and Allah's will match, God's will, whatever you want to call it. We will be there, and we will be the voice of righteousness and this science, taking it to a right way, having discussions on things that's relevant today. But the purpose of this writing is to provide the student with some of the most important secret histories. I hope y'all tapping in. Listen what we're saying, secret histories. I say it's sacred because we've been knowing this, directly related to misnomer Black people in America, that pertain directly to the subject and discussion of what? Reparations, restoration. The forbidden idea in America is what? It is never to allow the nation of misnomer Black people to know that you are indigenous to this land. And yes, you were and are an indigenous nation. This is the history that a lot of brothers and sisters and children, they don't know. This teaching is designed to be a study tool, and to spark the interest in further scholarly studies on our indigenous past and its connections to the reparations and restorations movement. You know, these are things that should be talked on. And every year we do these topics. We must. It's scholarship. That's why they're not going to touch this in the religious houses, in academia, because most of your brothers and sisters that think they heavy have took an oath. All this stuff is old. All these videos, all these documents, all these podcasts, all these nations of this, all these religious people, they still are not saying this. Something that's older than me and you. If we talk about the liberation for people and what can put people right back to a situation in a moment, in the blinking of an eye, it's already been done. It's written. Americans are ancient and very real. They are prior to any settlement of Europeans who verify this in their records. Now let's deal with some scholarship for all my brothers and sisters. We must do this work to make it clear that a child can understand it. This is for your child, for they can be proud, so no one can tell them what they're not, or they all jumped off some boat and came over here as people of no culture. That's not factual. That's propaganda. Negroes as the original Indians, proof in the Jesuit letters. Now this is scholarship from a whole nother perspective, proving what was there in the history books from their pen. This has to be important to brothers and sisters. It's the book, The Africans and Native Americans by Jack Forbes. It paints a very different picture of history than what most of us were taught about the origins of. When I say Black, we using Black for speaking context. People in Western Hemisphere. You were taught that Black people came from Africa as slaves, that the Red Indian was the true Native American, and that white people took Black slaves from Africa and stole the land of the Red Indians. This story is nothing but a giant fiction, a novel made up, no disrespect, by white historians to deceive the masses about the original history and people of the Americas. Jack Forbes used the letters of the Jesuit missionaries to prove that. And when we talk about the letters from the Jesuit missionaries to prove that Negroes or Black Moors were the first Americans, and in fact were the black and olive tone people found in the Western Hemisphere. Just like when you read the 1828 Webster Dictionary, what is American? The copper colored races. Commenting from the Jesuit letters on the appearance of the Native Americans, Forbes states, and I quote, y'all, this is precedent. This is why we should be able to stand on things and not let nobody call you some Fourth Amendment Negro, some Negro color, African American, some slaves, some that synonymous to slavery, and we just smile and show our teeth like a Cheshire cat. In 1519, it was said that Brazilians, it was said that they are not black or white, but of olive color. But the same writer remarked that the Brazilian canoemen he saw were so black that they could have been taken from the sailors of the Sea of the Styx in hell, meaning they were so dark per se. The author continues his comments on the appearance of the natives in North America from the Jesuit letters. 1524, Carolina coast people were said to be of dark color, not much unlike the Ethiopians. Not much like the Ethiopians. When I tell people you all look the same. The term Negro and Indios were used interchangeably to describe the natives in the journals of the early missionaries, who could not have possibly been referring to Africans. You see? And you can trace all this stuff in 1549, 1565, letters of the Jesuit missionaries in Brazil, usually addressed to the colleagues in Portugal or Spain, frequently referred to the Americans as Negroes. In April of 1549, Manuel de Nobrega, the leader of the Jesuits, addressed a letter from Bahia to Simão Rodrigues in Lisbon, in which he refers to the Portuguese in Brazil as living in sin because of their having many negras and lots of children by the said black women. Thus, the Jesuits' father called the American women living with Portuguese men negras, a term which, according to Leith, could not have denoted people from Africa because in 1549 there were few or no African women in Bahia. Nonetheless, Nobrega uses the word Indio. When Africans are referred to in the Jesuit letters, they are always called Negros de Ghana, blacks of Ghana, to distinguish them from Negros de Terra, black from the land of the Americas. You see? So when we're talking about school and scholarship, our kids are going to miss a whole lesson of history. Like this should, when my professor said this, the thing that should be going viral. We must make it. It's the only way. We must make it popular. You know? All these letters, all this stuff telling you what the American and what they saw in the Americas. Ancient. Another letter is one prepared by Dos Minos de Calillo de Jesus de Bahia. That is the young American studying in the school. You know, Diogo, Tipumbabi, Taribia, Montega. Although probably edited by a Jesuit, this may represent the first letter written by Americans in a European language from Brazil. In it, they refer to the American leader, El Grillo, as a Negro, and to other natives as Negroes. We find, for example, El Grillo, who is a Negro very well known and feared among them, and that El Grillo es Negro muy grave. El Negro was at the same time an Indi pagan and a friend of the Portuguese. In August 1552, Nobrega wrote from Bahia, which is South America, to Lisbon, which is Portugal, referring to the native people as Negroes. In May 1554, Antonio Vasquez from Porto Cerrego wrote the Jesuits of Cambria he was preaching to the Americans called Negroes. He also referred to the Negroes as Los Mamelucos, Disla Tierra, as pupils. The editor notes that by Negroes and Negras, he meant Indos and Indias. I hope we catching this, man. The history, as recorded by their own white hands, bear witness that the black people are the indigenous and first Americans. American steaming from the intercourse of Vespucci and Columbus with indigenous Black in Central America, or Maori. The use above of Mamelukes to describe the Negroes, which steams back to Kara al-Qiyan, Arabic word Mamluk, Mamluk, also shows the indigenous Moorish presence in the Americas. The indigenous Moorish present in the Americas. This history spanned from the first encounter of the Europeans with our ancestors to establishment of the United States of America and the recovery war period. And in the libraries and things, we're going to pull out documents and pictures. Like I'm going to teach in circles until we have our brick and mortar. It's just going to happen until we have our full library. Because we don't have a real library like I have with 1 million books and documents. You see this picture right here? You see this picture right here? This prophetic ancient picture? People had probably never even seen this in their life or know what's going on. These are paintings of pictures in history of prophetic things that happen in history that we should know so we can stand strong. This is a picture, and the Dutch artist Jan Verlist painted these paintings of the so-called Mohawk chiefs who visited London in 1710. The paintings were housed in Kingston Palace, Kingston, which is an area in Philadelphia named after the palace held the original name Shaka Maxim, Amexum, meaning the black spiritual priest of God, and Shakumsum, the original name of the Mohawks, is Kayinka, which resembles Canaan. Israel, Phoenician. The center picture is the chief of the Creek Confederacy, Tomochichi, and members of his nation in England, 1736, having intercourse with James Oglethorpe, then proprietor of the colony of Georgia. This what a lot of our children don't know. When they throw that black stuff and you got our people dressed up in dashikis, talk about we some Africans and we all from Africa. False. That's propaganda. That's some roots and some fake Willie Lynch. All come from Eurocentric propaganda. That's what that is. That root stuff is fake. The language of the Indians, aka Negroes, Algonian, and Arabic are essentially the same language, which goes back to Meta Nether, which the hieroglyphics. You can see the language. You can see everything that's similar. So when people just be saying things because they come from a lack of wisdom, because they don't want to give their people credit and say you was everywhere. This is what I'm trying to tell people. We don't get stuck in religion. We need our nationality and this true understanding from everyone. When you look at the ancient Arabic script and vocabulary of the Algonquin Indians, Barry Fell showed this in his book. Sons of Saint Tammy, aka Sons of Liberty, worship a Moorish chief. And when you have Moors and people arguing over things because they want to be right on semantics, the Nanticoke Moors, the Lenape people. Remember, the Lanu or the Lenape equal Nanticoke Moors. The chief tribe of the Wabanaki Confederation of Moors was the Delaware of Lenape. Now, were they black people and our African Americans, the descendants of the Moors? I'm talking to my brothers here in North America, the misnomer Negro, Black, and Color, and African American. Even William Penn, the eyewitness account. Here it is. I'm giving people eyewitness account from history. William Penn, eyewitness account of Lenape, Nanticoke Moors, the first detailed description of the Delawares. In a letter from William Penn to the Committee of the Free Society of Traders in 1683, and all my muftis have this document. He wrote, and I quote, "For their persons," this is what he wrote, "for their persons, they are generally tall, straight, well built, and of singular proportion. They tread strong and clever, and mostly walk with a lofty chin of complexion, black, but by design, as the gypsies in England." Now, what he say? Man, this is the best TED Talk. I just hope people in my time support our temple and school, for we can be just as magnanimous as everyone else. Because let's have our flowers now, and we can take this teaching everywhere. We could take this teaching everywhere. I promise you, to the academias, to the elementaries, because it's going to be a slap in our face when I'm able to be in other places that don't have no melanated people, and all of us had the opportunity to keep trying to push the envelope, to keep trying to ask our family and friends, like, man, you need my brother to come teach, you need my brother to come speak. If we on the same page, if not, what's the mission? What's the mission? We supposed to be like we courting someone. Listen what he said. He said, the chin of complexion, black, but by design, as the gypsies in England, as the gypsies in England, as the gypsies in England. They grease themselves with bare fat, clarified, and using no defense against the sun, because we sun-kissed. Or whether their skin must be swarty. When I talk about Zwarte Piet, aka Black Pete of the Netherlands, Netherlands is Europe. Zwarte Piet. I'm giving you history. When you see the Corsica flag, you're gonna see the red flag with the so-called white cross with the Moorish head with the bandana up. That's Saint Maurice. You're gonna see all that history. When I talk about Russian icons, the first church fathers was melanated. Everyone know this. They try to make pictures of stuff look melanated. Chief Tonham, the Blackamoor, chief of Turtle Island, Shakamexum, Philadelphia. They always tried to make things noses to try to throw you off. But the pen is going to correct it. And the what? The Carmen Dayton. You got to understand that. And we're going to get ancient with it. Remember, the three-branch system was copied from the Moors, so-called Delaware, Lenape, Nanacote Moors of America. You know, a lot of stuff was copied. Like, that's when I tell you all about history, and when we get caught up in man-made religion and we don't look farther, because that's what they want us to do. They want us to get caught up in arguing over religion. And I tell people in history, things was brought to you to keep you on the breadcrumb of not knowing who you are. So that's why this is important to take this to schools and to all religious houses. If we let Farrakhan go into churches and teach our brothers and sisters, I have something just as magnanimous and even deeper, because I can look at Farrakhan in his eyes as an elder, as a sheik, as a comedic scientist, because I know he's a lower level Freemason, and say during a Million Man March, speaking of Willie Lynch, if you educated, you know that's propaganda. And I can illuminate that fallacy that was brought to a group of people that's subjugated mentally. These is facts, no matter how nobody feel. I can show that a lot of my brothers that's under a certain religious cloth is under Dianetics, Ron L. Hubbard, and can prove this. So when we deal about with the righteousness and the liberation of our people, it's only one law. It's only one science. I don't care how you feel. So when you look at certain figures like Elijah Muhammad and certain other chiefs, I'm gonna break these similarities down to show you how a person or a people can get some power and still limit themselves from their connections or that bag. That's why it's going to take us a while, and we're not going to be able to be shut down. Nope, it's not. It's not. So this is what I want people to understand. So please, I want us to stay in context of where we're demonstrating. So when we talk about Chief Black Hawk was chief of Sauk or Shot, his birth date is not known, but I'm giving for speaking reference. I'll give all that at a later date. I want us to research. The name Black Hawk is reminiscent of Black Hawk or Falcon of the Kemetic tradition, representing Horus, Haru, the resurrection son of Osiris, the anointed one. Black Hawk was born Makkanmekshema, or Mashak, is the Hebrew word for Messiah, literally means the anointed one. As we can see, this is part of his name. His last public appearance was, ironically, July 4th. When I talk about the year of the Kiefer, we're going to go on that. If people stay in context, when we talk about a cosmic event, that's why I tell people when we're talking about things, we must stay in proper context. We must. It was 4th of July, 1837, a specific day in ancient Moorish Israelite Egypt culture in respect to astronomical science. His attire in the painting that I'm going to show y'all is very Moorish in tradition. Black Hawk was a terror for the whites in 1800s and is a part of a legacy of black people who have been written off under the Red Indian history and disassociated from black people as their lineal ancestors of which they are. So when I'm saying black, I'm using this as speaking reference. We know black is not used in law as civil mortis. We know Negro, black color is synonymous to slave. We know that. We teaching that. I'm setting a precedent. So please, Let's learn today. Let's not get into debating. Let's learn. People who have been written off under red Indian history and disassociated from the misnomer black people as their lineal ancestry of which they are. The resemblance of Elijah Muhammad is strikingly similar. So when you start looking at figures in history, you start looking at these people and be like, damn, they look similar. Because a lot of religious people done a spell on misnomer black people, on indigenous people, on Amazigians. So the United States alleged for the purpose of exploring the unknown territory from the western edge of the colonies to the Pacific. The true intention was to spy on the indigenous misnomer black people who were in America prior to the European invasion and colonization. Captain Meriwether Lewis and Lieutenant William Clark. Y'all know Lewis and Clark, the adventures of Lewis and Clark, right? Of the United States Army used a misnomer black man named York, who was also the son of Yusuf bin Ali, along with a native woman named Sessanese or Sakwania, found on the Manila edition of the dollar, with her son John Baptiste Carbonneau. Remember? To be interpreters as they gather intelligence. It's a book, Return of the Ancient Ones, Empress Tierra Verde, Washita reports, and I quote, Lewis and Clark documented everything in sight. The weather plants, the rocks, the minerals found, right? Right? The people by tribe, by habits, by color, by warlike activities, and it was documented, a bushy-headed tribe who did not like the red man or the white man, the black bushy-headed Washitas. Now, please explain why history did not make us aware of this important fact. It was because they went to spy on the Washitas, a people that that the good old United States had signed to be their protectors over their rights, lands, and their property. John Sibley reports in the Lewis and Clark documents. Also, you can look at The Return of the Ancient Ones by Empress Tierra Verde, Washita, Gostin, El Bay on page 200. Choctaw, there are rambling hunting parties of them to be met with all over Louisiana. They are at war with the Chaldees and like by neither the red nor the white people. April 5th, 1805. What you say, Noble Moso? Missing pages of world history. Absolutely. So I'm going to show you all pictures. Because all this stuff is in the world libraries and in people, personal library houses. This is just facts. And that's why I tell people, us as a people, we got to stop arguing because a lot of people, your history is wrong. It's just what it is. And if anybody, family, I tell people, I'm always be transparent. I study from the Royal Libraries, the Royal Archives, the Library of Congress. I'm part of the Philosophical Research Society. It's a lot of information that I would been honored to be introduced to that a lot of average people not introduced to. It's a lot of information that's at Oxford, Harvard, Cambridge, and their Gnostic libraries in the basement that a lot of regular people are not introduced to. They're not going to have certain expensive books like Criminalizing a Race. When you see on Amazon how all these documents and all these ancient books and manuscripts that I have the pleasure to be introduced to and share with y'all cost thousands of dollars. And it's housed in certain libraries, you know? But to the right is Mashaki or Morshak, another chief with Aramaic or Hebrew name. Mashak means the one with man horns, as the painting shows, and it represents his chiefdom. He and his father were recorded to have been in 18 battles with the United States and never lost one. He and his father were allies of Black Hawk or Makatasha. He traveled with his father to Washington, D.C. in 1824 to meet with President John Quincy Adams. The Secretary of State was Henry Clay. These two, Adams and Clay, were later ordered by Abdur Raham Ibn Hisham to release Abraham Ibn Suri, the Prince of the Slaves, in 1828. Y'all got the book, nobles. I share it with y'all. Abraham had been touring all over the West speaking with these chiefs about the laws that were being used to free him under the Moor status. In the 1840s, the government made many treaties with Native Americans and land deals in Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Kansas. John Quitman and Eliza Tunic, the father and mother of our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, among many other family members, were a part of these transactions and interactions. So when people talk about they don't know, everything is recorded. Everything. As my muftis, we on my Facebook page and YouTube, we ain't here to argue with certain people. This is a safe space. We just say, do the research and let's come to a conclusion of who we are as a people, as a subjugated people. If this is not relevant to anyone else, we're not talking to no one else, because everyone has a right of a nationality. I'm talking to the misnomer black man, Negro, colored, African American. That's synonymous to slave. That's misnomers. Black was never used to describe ethnicity. Never. But after the Lewis and Clark spy mission, the United States brought 59 European families into the Louisiana territory under the guard of the United States Army. The military poisoned the water supply with the intent of murdering off the original indigenous black population. They brought their school curriculums, just like in Arizona when I show you all the Herd Museum, how they changed everybody's culture. It's all this stuff is documented. Curriculums as they enslaved and murdered misnomer black population, making claims that they, the indigenous people, were fugitives from justice under constitutional law and were European property from Africa. However, the people did not consider themselves by nationality or status as Africans until after this was bred into them. The indigenous people in Africa did not originally call themselves Africans. They were of Tamari and were Moors. Some spelled the M-U-U-R-S. You spelled the M-O-H-R-S, depending on where you were at. The word African is a word, and they try to say white colonizer, but Africa don't come from Europeans. We did that a long time ago. We did that lecture a long time ago. That's why I tell people, if they just sit down and listen and stop having a debate, lower self attitude, we can be educated from scholarship. Because I lectured in academia with professors. So I'm not here to debate no one. I'm here to teach my brothers and sisters. I don't debate no one. I don't debate no one. I don't have a pissing contest with no one. That's not my mission. I say, let's do the research together and we can get to a place. Very easy. You know? The evidence of this deceptive activity to falsify our status, that is undeniable. It was a part of a plan to wipe out our indigenous history in America. The names like Tunic and Washita were turned into Turner and Washington. When I talk about the wars with the Moors, when you talk about 1752, the so-called French and Indian Wars were wars between the misnomer Moors, the misnomer Black Knight Templars, where you saw with Martin them the Black Knight, the Templar families, and the Aboriginal Moors versus the British colonists. In Great Britain in 1776, the sons of Saint Tammany of Tammany allied with the Moors to fight against the British colonists in Great Britain. You can research this in the Return of the Ancient Ones on page 200. It's all there, but a lot of our people are not introduced to the science. You know, some of the British colonists infiltrated the Moors and Sons of Liberty, just like you do now. Just like you have brothers and sisters now, like they did Patrice Lumumba. Nobody can do nothing to you unless your own people will sell out. Like COINTELPROs, like I showed y'all how people will infiltrate you and sell out because they don't want to go to jail because they got caught driving with suspended license or alcohol, so they'll sell out a whole movement. But some of the British colonists infiltrated the Moors and Sons of Liberty, aka Sons of Saint Tammany, in order to overthrow the Moors. They were people like Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Andrew Hamilton, Benjamin Franklin. Moors titled Negroes by the United States. This is world history. This is real world history. Statements from General Thomas Jessup. Do anybody know who General Thomas Jessup is? These is the history that you need to know, so you can't be arguing with your brother and sister on those semantics. Because we're not arguing like a brother with an L or a B jumped on my page yesterday, and this is what these religious people do. They play semantics. What was the name of the first man? Man, I'm not playing that dumb game. I don't have time for that stuff that people be doing. I'm dealing with real solutions, dealing with real answers, dealing with history to make us a complete fifth, so we can do some of the things that we say we want to do in the eyes of what's lawful. So we don't have to stop begging for them. We can pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and get what we want, just like every American that's here in America. that understand who they are. Understand that. That's what it is, because we are in America and we can have our own nation in a nation. The laws say this. The religious laws say this. The Constitution backs me up. You want to be a part of something that's real. Think about this. Statement from General Thomas Jessup. This, you may be assured, is a Negro, not an Indian war. And if it not be speedily put down, the South will feel the effects of it on the slave population before the end of the next season. Major General Jessup, June 1837, in American State Papers, Military Affairs, cited in Kenneth W. Porter, The Negro on the American Frontier, New York, 1971. This is early as 1971, page 251, page 281. If the war be carried on, it must necessarily be one of extermination. We have, at no former period of our history, had to contend with so formidable an enemy. No Seminole proved falsely to his country, nor has a single instance ever occurred of a first-rate warrior having surrendered. Listen to this. Throughout my operations, I have found that the Negroes, the most active and determined warriors, and during the conference with the Indian chiefs, I ascertained they exercise and almost controlling influence over them. The Negroes ruled the Indians, and you let these people come with this Willie Lynch bull crap. These religious figures in 1995, a million march to tell you that we the worst. That's Eurocentric and Negrocentric propaganda, and they let us have it. That root stuff that come from a European named Harold Kohler in his book From an African, that's propaganda, and we continue to pass this stuff down. Even when you talk about some Kwanzaa, that's propaganda. That comes from Ron Karinga, another COINTELPRO, and here we go again. When I say I ain't on nobody's side, that misnomer black stuff, I ain't with it, or the other stuff. I'm with what's right that can be proven in law that I can take universally. This is universal. What I teach is universal. It no matter how no one feel individually, an individual is nothing. Many of the original black inhabitants began to flee from the Western Territory, and many inhabitants sought refuge in Florida. And some went further to California and mingled with other unaffected indigenous populations. We're talking about California and Florida, the United States. In 1816, a U.S. colonial named Duncan Clinch, get familiar with him, led an army into Florida to destroy what was called the Black Fort or Fort Negro. Why y'all think the European Peter Moon wrote the book Spandu Mystery and research it on Amazon? I have the book. I lectured it. Peter Moon used to lecture at GCU about our prophet Noah Drali all day. But Peter Moon wrote a book, which is his pen name or a pseudonym. He wrote a book called Spandu Mysteries, and see who's on the cover of that book. The prophet Noah Drali with all those army generals. Look, and then wonder, and then read the preface of that book. Read the preface of that book, and then start asking some questions. Why all these top army generals with these special operations they had going on, and why our American prophet is on the cover with them? You ain't thought about that? None of your brothers and sisters in the military, your uncles and dad that have been in war this, war that, they ain't told you what they saw? Please. Colonial Duncan Clinch led an army of Red Creek mercenaries as a U.S. Army unit in Florida to destroy Fort Negro in a book called The Black West by William Katz. Katz reports, and I quote, "The explosion killed almost all of his black and red warriors and 200 women and children, because it was always to kill the Black Messiah. Just like the Dum Diversus, the Papal Bull, the Doctrine of Discovery. It was always the what? To destroy the Black Messiah. It was always even the Arabic slave trade. We ain't holding no punches on no religious person. The few wars were led back to the United States and slavery. In this initial order, General Jackson had asked that they not only destroy the fort, but return the stolen Negroes and property to their original owners. Now, why would you want to be identified as a Negro, Black, or color, or African American today? The Dred Scott Law was never abolished. It was illegal to be a Negro, Black, or African American since the 1800s. And why would you tell your kid, yeah, we Black, we African American, some Black lives matter? Why would you pass that down? Why? And the powers that be is laughing at Negroes. You would never get no reparations. Why? Because your mind mentally, you won't even step up and out your mouth, and you won't even proclaim who you're supposed to be, which you have the right to do. The Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, tell misnomer Negroes what they have the right to do. And it still fall on deaf ears. We run to a religion. We need our nationality and our spirituality. In initial orders, General Jackson had asked that they not only destroy the fort, but return the Negroes' property to their owners. But the question remains, did the Aboriginals see themselves as slaves? Do you see yourself as slaves, foreigners, or property of the Europeans, as African Negroes or colored people? No. In Colonel Duncan Clinch's report of the battle at Fort Negro, the first U.S. invasion of Florida, the information provides facts to the contrary. Colonial Clinch report reads, listen to this, misnomer black people, when people just be talking because they done watched a whole bunch of TikTok videos. I had the pleasure to do this in academia. That's right, Noble. That's right, Mufti Lamarck. Thomas Jefferson was associated with the War of 1812. That's right. Fort Negro, 1816. In the evening, a deputation of chiefs went into the fort and demanded its surrender. But they were abused and treated with the utmost contempt. The black chief heaped much abuse on the Americans and said he had been left in command of the fort by the British government and that he would sink any American vessel that should attempt to pass it and would blow up the fort if he could not defend it. The chief also informed me that the Negroes had a red flag and the English Jack was flying all over it. And the English Jack was flying all over it. The question must be answered is, where are those people former slaves? Were they slaves? Question mark. What was their purpose for flying the two flags that were flying? Because slaves don't have a flag. A flag represents a nation. What nations did they represent? There were cannons in use at Fort Negro. It was well-known fact in history that the cannon was developed by the Moors in North Africa and Spain. Because we know the Moors, or the Jews ruled Spain for over 800 years. So who you think they're talking about? Why ain't this told in history class? When you take world history, when you take civics, and they come with all that fake history. Why? Why you can't talk about it? I get to talk about this around people that don't look like me, and I know people that's preachers, that's teachers, family, or my uncle a pastor, my granddad a pastor, and he went to college. Okay, well he ain't gonna teach nothing but slavery and won't bring an anointed, consecrated brother to teach. And I teach to the Europeans. I teach at their schools. I teach at their Masonic houses. I tutor their children. They buy all my books, and I offer them to all my people for pennies for donations. Clearly I ain't the crazy one. And I graduated from academia. You know? The Moors had not only made the fire stick, as mentioned earlier, but even cannon forged from raw iron. Two flags represent Great Britain and the indigenous Moorish Empire. They represent a nation of indigenous Moors. This is the same Islamic empire in the east that Abu Bakr, brother of Mansa Musa, was under when he brought 400 ships to America in 1311 AD. Is this flag that chief was flying at the Black Fort in Florida in 1816? Was there a continuous Moorish connection from 1311 with arrival of Moors from the east that is documented in Africa and America until 1816? The document dates for the presence of contemporary Eastern Moors go as far back as 1700 AD, as we have shown with the inscriptions found from the ancient Nevada school bearing the name of Muhammad as the prophet of Allah. Even our Moorish Holy Quran, prepared by our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, asks certain questions, and the report of Colonial Clinch of the destruction of Fort Negro. You can research that. July 29th, 1816, the Washington War Records Office, National Archives. I told y'all a lot of stuff I studied in the World Archives. So when I was in academia, I didn't study in a sorry library. I was introduced to Cambridge, Harvard, Oxford, and I studied in the Royal Archives and the Library of Congress. And so I did a lot of peer-reviewed scholarly research, and we had to write an APA format, and I had to do oral dissertations after everything. That's why I'm saying I'm sincere. You can also research Golden Age of the Moors by Ivan Van Sertima on page 20. See, we already debated the one that I try to lie. What kind of flag is Moorish? It's a red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the middle. We already did this in academia. That's why I don't care what no Negro or no new person on TikTok saying. I done this in academia with professors, 3 and 4 times chair. You know, when I say even in the Bible, the European know that he's not the Jew. They Anglo Sac. They be knowing. You know, so in academia, because all academia, when you under peer-reviewed scholarly research, and when you're a real scholar and when you're a real lecturer, you're gonna teach the truth no matter what color you are. I know too many. I share it all over my YouTube pages. Even my European Mason Brook colleagues, they sons of Muslims. Black people will tell you they some goofy widow son. Black people. You know, the Moorish flag as presented by our prophet. There is an unverified story that George Washington took down the original Moorish Islamic flag in America and locked it in the safe at Independence Hall in Philadelphia. It was allegedly a part of his efforts to destroy any knowledge of Islam amongst black people in budding American nation. And when I say Islam, I'm not talking about no al-Islam. Just like when I talk about the Moridines, just like when I talk about Credo Matua, we already had our Islam. Our Islam was peace. I'm telling y'all, if you don't understand that, I'm a Tasawwuf. I'm a Sufi. I'm not studying nothing outside of myself. Anything outside of myself is true shirk. But I understand all the 3 religious rights: the Paraclete, the Fatimid, the Jerusalem, the Christian, whatever you want to call it. But allegedly, it was not retrieved until our prophet was given the flag by high degree Shriners in the 20s. The Moorish flag was actually dismantled in 1816 from Fort Negro by Duncan Clinch and General Andrew Jackson. You know, you see this always. That's why when people, they be watching the British channels and they don't be knowing what they be seeing, I say, are you seeing what you seeing when you see melanated people there? When you let our own people that's caught up in fallacy, because a lot of them be Freemason, and they say, well, the Moors killed the Africans. No, they didn't. King Leopold did. He just used the damn Fez as part of the uniform, just like Hitler regiment were Islam, and they were the Fez. You were only killed by your own people, and that ain't have to do nothing with this. People that kill each other today. We talking about what's valid, and we talking about a precedent, not trying to play Crips and Bloods. That ain't what we doing. We don't do that. But the star was added by the colonizing French authority to the Moorish Sherifians flag in Morocco on November 17th, 1915, after France's colonial occupation began. Before this period, it was a completely red flag. It represented the Muslims, the Moors of the Maghreb, West Africa, and the Americas, who were traveling back and forth from Africa. When I talk about Thomas Jefferson Quran, see, we done this a plethora of times. What my college students say, gratitude for the donation. Yep. Who were established as indigenous to both lands. They were traveling back from Africa to America, who were established as indigenous to both lands. Many of the Maroons, who were amongst the natives, were called Seminoles, were Muslims, Moors, who had an ancient presence in America. The chief of this fort, called Fort Negro, was a man of Mandi descent. The Mandi were and are West African Muslims. Mandi groups founded the medieval empire of Ghana and Mali. They included the Bambara, the Dula, the Malinki, the Mandi, the Dogon, and the Sinki. You know, the chief of Fort Negro during the invasion of Colonial Clinch was named Abraham. His birth name was Sunufi Tusconigi, which meant Suwani warrior, and had been associated with the Suwani River in Florida. The Moorish Mandi Arabic word Sunuf, Sounoffe, means powerful spirit, and Tusconigi means warrior. This chief who had a Moorish heritage, like most of the Maroons, you know, the Jamaican Maroons or the Maroons in Florida, was not a former slave. His descendancy went back to indigenous people. Abraham served as an interpreter for the Seminoles and as legal counsel for Himbu Miko, John Jumper, and Hota Miko, Chief Billy Bowlegs. Hima Miko was the Seminole chief. His brother Halata Miko was also a chief. Abraham served as a representative on their trip to Washington, D.C. to negotiate a treaty with the United States government in 1832. But you know the United States broke all treaties, but we must defend the Constitution. The right Moors, like myself and others that's educated, that's been doing this, that already lecture in religious houses. I tell people, all European Masons, they know what I'm talking about. Why not my brothers and sisters? Why not my brothers and sisters that's Masons that call themselves a widow's son and you a son of a Muslim? All my European Masons know they sons of Muslims, and they'll tell you that I'm 99 degrees, and this is the science that you should be under, and this is the science that build the nation that they talk about in secrecy, and they won't share nothing with you. This is the science. This is it right here in your face. Right here in your face. I'm transparent. I'm telling you, I have something that I can bring back to the people, to liberate the people from facts, because I've been through the fire. You know? But Sophony Tustanigi, also known as Abraham, was a Maroon, or in our vernacular, we say a Mo. What's up, Mo? Amongst the Seminoles. He was their chief legal counsel and interpreter. It was he who was at Fort Negro in 1816, flying the Moorish flag of the Islamic empires. This is the famous cherry tree. Hold on. I had to call. Somebody was taking the order. Hold on, y'all. 1 second. 1 second. Take that. I had to take that. Apologies for that. This is real life, but we got a little bit more to go. Oh, okay. 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 I got you, bro. Got you, family. All right, cool. But yeah, this is the famous cherry tree that was chopped down. Abraham soon moved west to Oklahoma, and Chief Halota Mika and Chief Hema Miko disappeared in the Everglades. This was the start of the Penn's secret society and other secret society amongst the Creeks and Cherokees. Keep this in your head. Saraji, when I talk about different Masonic, when I talk about the spirit builders that our prophet used to build the nation, I'll show y'all later. These are the societies that later developed into the ancient Egyptian Arabic order of the nobles of the mystic shrine and the Moorish Science Temple of America, way before some European or some black Masons. Way before then, way before some 1914, way before then. So what is the connection, to the Americans in modern time and history, and the efforts of our greatest teachers to reacquaint us with the marvelous and most useful history, as witnessed through his activity? Our prophet Noble Drew Ali had to be very aware of these histories and began to implement repair, just like I'm doing today, on our people by repairing the root of our people through a knowledge of self, as he knew at that time. And I'm able to take it further because I'm in this time today, and we can add on because we in the flesh. We're not here to destroy, we're here to build. The great work continue in the Nation of Islam. It tried, and I'm gonna show you, but it got tampered with. I'm telling you, and these is facts. In an interview placed in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper on March 23rd, 1973, one of the brothers of the Nation of Islam, Brother Fletcher Majid, a member of the Nation of Islam during the 1930s, served as a witness that these ancient histories were taught openly in the 20s. It was taught openly. What I'm talking about. So all these Nation of Islam brothers be act like they don't know what I'm talking about. Then I show these documents, and I show that this was passed out to the Nation of Islam in the watch. This one I say you can't be mad at nobody else. You got to be mad at your own person that look like you with that religious stuff. This was passed out to the Nation of Islam. This was sent to all the students in the ministry of Islam in the wilderness of North America. That's here by Elijah Muhammad, servant of Allah, dated 4/2/1936, and then it was later reissued in January the 18th, 1963. So this stuff is a lot of older. This stuff is older than a lot of people on here right now. So they can't say they don't know what I'm talking about, because I can go even further. So let's continue to indulge over it a little bit. But it said that this was taught openly in the early 20th century by Elijah Muhammad. He speaks of the same red flag from a lecture he heard from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the early 1930s, which will serve as further proof that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was well aware of the secret relationship that Islam has with the establishment of the American government and prehistory of the American government. You can even pull up a Farrakhan on Founders Day, giving credit to Noble Drew Ali. And then you will start looking at some stuff, you will be hearing people twisting their stories, But Brother Fletcher Majid said he came to the Odd Fellows Hall at 33rd and State For the first time in the fall of 1933, the messenger told us about this white man, John Hawkins, and how he brought our forefathers here. He said that John Hawkins anchored his ship. You know, when I talk about the slave ship of Jesus Lambert, but he brought his slave ship down on the Nile River. He was flying our flag. He was sailing the banks of the Nile River where our people were doing trade. Our flag was flying. Our flag was red, freedom, justice, and equality. When he got out to sea, they lowered the flag. The Moors dominated trade in this period. Trade was dominated by the Moors from the west and north coast of Africa to the Gulf of Mexico before the Inquisition of the Spain and slow deterioration of the Moorish and Islamic influence. Even in the 1700s, the royal was the unit of currency used in Mexico, which is the present standard currency of Saudi Arabia. This trade became fully interpreted when the United States developed the independent Marine Corps and Navy in the 1800s. They fought wars against the Moors, the Barbary Wars, and eventually won out in its confrontations. They later fought wars against our people in Mexico, which is a Maxima. The hymn of the Marines declares that they fought from the halls of what? Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, referring to the exploits by the United States Marine Corps in the Mexican War and in campaigns against the Barbary pirates of North Africa. Those Barbary pirates and some of the so-called Mexicans were the Moors, the Black Maroons, Moors from Florida, who had set up communities in Mexico in the mid-1800s. The cannon was also found amongst the so-called Mexicans, which was a signature weapon of the Moors and Maroons from Florida. And places like Pelicalaca, I might be pronunciating it wrong, Pelikalaha, a city built by Maroons, Moors in Florida, and Fort Negro, where the Black Moorish chief Sonuf Tuscanigi, aka Abraham, was captured by Colonel Duncan Clinch. You see? With about 2,000 men, General William J. Worth captured the road between Monterrey and Salito or Saltillo, and by noon was storming Federation Hill. 6 companies of Texas Rangers charged up the hill, seized the enemy artillery, and turned the cannon on retreating Mexican forces. So you can, all this stuff is history. The indigenous blacks in Mexico went under many names like Mestios or Mestos, Cholos, Negroes, and even Indian. The term Marines came from Mari or Maori, M-A-R-E, which in Latin implies a navigator of the waters and also means black. So the Marines took the name of people they were conquering, the Moors, as they do in Agnomens, like when we talk about Africanus. You know, they take the abdomen. A signature move of the grafted people. The history of the interaction of the Moors with the white English is extensive. Our purpose in bringing this information to surface here is the subject of reparations and generally the highlighting of international laws that are of extreme importance. Our ancestors had made many international treaties with the English for the protection of their sensory and trade regulations. The Moors of the eastern part of the Islamic Empire, whose capital was seated in the western portion of Africa, which was Maghreb, had made 2 treaties with Queen Elizabeth I of England as early as 1578. Islam had a major impact on Great Britain from 1558 until 1685. It's documented by researcher Nabil Matar in his book, Islam in Britain. This explains why John Hawkins would have been trading amongst our people, flying the flag of the Moors, the Muslims, the red flag of the ancient Moorish nation, the nation of Islam. These original black people are our ancestors. They were international agreements between these nations. This flag intended represented an independent nation and a lineage that spanned back to the 18th dynasty of Egypt, called often Bana Israel, the offspring of Israel, the family of Amran, Quran Surah 3, Amran, and beyond. It's in the Quran. The Moors were international in their commerce, and many of the members of the nation had settled in America. As we have noted, Abu Bakr, the elder brother of Mansa Musa, took 400 ships to the Americas in the early 1300s. Even when you look up Batuta, the Muslim traveler that I showed y'all in first century, that been to the Americas. The Atlantic Ocean was not a barrier for our people. we were and are indigenous to both land masses. Watch this. We indigenous to it. We are Americans. In the 1828 Webster Dictionary, it explains it. The Atlantic Ocean was not a barrier. The misnomer black indigenous population of the Moors in the West that suffered a death blow from colonizing Europeans throughout the 16th and the 17th centuries, while Spanish, Dutch, French, British, Portuguese Christians were conquering indigenous populations across the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean. Islamic military power pushed the Ottomans and their North African satellites, the regencies of Tunisia, Tripoli, which is Libya, and Algeria, along with the Empire of Morocco beyond the Mediterranean, and as far as the walls of Vienna and into the English channels. It's detailed history that has not been known by most and is at the root of the rise of the Europeans in the Western Hemisphere. Islam was on the rise in the East in Europe. And as the colonizers left for freedom of religion, the freedom that they wanted was freedom from the oppression of Christianity. They found this in the West through interaction with the ancient Moorish Empire in America. Their expansion into the West, Europeans had buried their knowledge of the ancient indigenous Moorish Empire in America. The map shows the oceanography and general oceanic currents of the Atlantic. Remember when I talk about cartographers that pinpoint the landing, and in the first century you had two cartographers. I'm gonna start pulling out the Negro question. It's a whole bunch of documents that back up what I say, and I lectured all this in academia over years ago. But misnomer black people of the Americas and the East were aware of these currents and used them in trade and travel across the Atlantic from the Americas to Africa and Europe. I wonder, is there any cruise ships that go to Africa? Is there any cruise ships that go to Africa, y'all? Because you got cruise ships that go everywhere else, Caribbeans all the way. Is there any cruise ships that go to Africa? I don't know. I ain't never been on no cruise. I don't want to go on no cruise, but I'm asking, if anybody been on a cruise, is there any cruise ships to take you to Africa? And then they play a game. They make you think like it takes so long to get somewhere, but that's a whole nother story. But history proved that some of our people were brought over here as slaves. However, most of them were not. Most of them were not. We have also never considered as a people that most of the prisoners of war, slaves, were taken from geographical areas of the Moorish Empire. And the action of enslaving Moors and Muslims by white Americans and British was and is a violation of international law and treaties. It's a book, Sylvain Diouf, in the book, Servants of Allah, all my muftis, y'all have them, points out that nearly 60% of the captured people doing what they call slavery were Muslims. Most of us have not taken in this knowledge and perspective on the history of slavery. This is part due, watch this. We got more, y'all. We doing good. If y'all with me, tell me. This is part due to the defiant curriculum, or to the watered down curriculum, or to the Eurocentric and Negrocentric curriculums that have been given to us by propaganda and even by some misnomer black scholars. There is much proof of the selling of misnomer black people from Egypt and other empires in America prior to European colonization. These so-called Egyptians, like Moses, Pharaoh, Akhenaten, are considered to be Moors, Muslims by nature, and according to the book of the divine contract of the Moorish nation, the Quran and the treaties, the Marrakesh in 1786 and 1836, specified the Quran as the law of the adjudication between Moors, Muslims, and white Americans. See the Treaty of Marrakesh. There were also Moors from the era of Muhammad, the 7th century, and beyond in America prior to colonization. It was a decree issued in 1539 by Charles V, King of Spain, forbade the grandsons of Muslims burned at stake to migrate to West Indies. This decree was ratified in 1543, and an order for the expulsion of all Muslims from overseas Spanish territories, which is Mexico, North and South America, was subsequently published. Why? Why would the Christian king of Spain and the Pope in Rome want all Muslims expelled from Spanish colonies overseas? I told you about the dumb diversus, the papal bull, and the doctrine discovery. Research what I'm saying. Huron Cortez, a Spanish criminal who invaded Mexico in 1519, who had an inborn genius for treachery and was unbelievably cruel and brutal, boasts to the same king, Charles V of Spain, that he had massacred unarmed women and children in order to impose his will upon the natives. These natives were the indigenous blacks who had settled in this area, and the same war tactics of the Europeans during the later wars in North America in the 1800s with the indigenous black population were used and orchestrated there. These white Christian crusaders were kidnappers, kidnapping small children and breeding them. When you can look up at Oliver Cromwell diaries, thousands of red people were used to make war against the original indigenous misnomer black people of the land. This tactic of separation was used in the early developments of government in America and resulted in many of the red people being chosen as new native leaders over tribes and given land and reservations in the backdoor treaty deals. Research the backdoor treaty deals. Thousands of rebellious red natives supported Cortez. Jules Cavett, a French author of Les Berbers in America, or The Berbers in America, published in 1930, cites that the ethnic names of 46 of 77 examined names of inland and coastal African Berber communities match American tribes. Why are there such close associations between the so-called African native tribes and ancient American native tribes in language and in culture, as well as physical appearance and genotype? Author of They Came Before Columbus, the great Dr. Ivan Van Sertima states in reference to Cavett's findings, these many identities in name are not simply the results of one migration of Arabs or Africans to America, nor in fact to a one-way traffic of people and culture to the American continent. It is evident that the white who colonized America had a plan that they codified into the laws of the Constitution under the Fugitive from Justice Clause and the Migration and Importation Clause of the Constitution to allow the international crime of enslaving a people who they had international agreements not to enslave in violation of international treaties, enforce involuntary servitude and attempts of genocide on a people and nation who inhabited America and Africa prior to the unlawful invasion of white Europeans. Our people had a nationality and land that is recorded on official record and in historical documents on both continents. Franklin enslaves all United citizens to death. Benjamin Franklin entered into a treaty in 1782. King George III and his exchanger banks that the United States and the 13 chartered corporate states would be held responsible for the first payment being due November 17, 1787. This was the sole purpose for the creating of the Constitution and the new government, and set in operation a function in the government where the Congress can borrow money on behalf of the United States federal government. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 2. And its subject corporation states and subject citizens then set up and incorporate a bank to give these foreign creditors interest in the labor of the people. Who? All people. This is where we are at now in bondage. Article 1 of that treaty states, it is agreed and certified that the sums advanced by His Majesty to Congress of the United States under the title of a loan in the year 1778, 79, 80, 81, and the present 82, amount to the sum of 18 million livres, monies of France, according to the following 21 receipts of the above mentioned underwritten Minister of Congress, given in virtue of his full powers, to wit, amounting the whole to 18 million, by which receipts the said minister has promised in the name of Congress and in behalf of the 13 United States to cause to be paid and reimbursed to the royal treasury of His Majesty. Who is His Majesty? Y'all don't know? On the 1st of January, 1788, at the house of his grand banker at Paris, the said sum of 18 million monies of France, with interest at 5% per annum. Article 4 of this treaty, made in 1782, gives a picture of why the government change when it's changed from the anti-federalist Sons of Liberty under the Articles of Confederation to the Federalists under the Constitution. See, this is why I say you have to know where you're from to know where you're going. That's why they don't teach this in school. And I ain't even touched on the SF-181 form or white by law. We might do that tomorrow. You know, that's why I said if people like to teach and support the school, you can get all these documents. We can change the whole nation just like in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye. Constitution, a depth document for the United States citizens, not for Aboriginal nation of the Republic, because we know we was a republic, but I don't want to stay too far in that. You see, remember on that book, you remember the book with the cover of this? He's dressed like the young Moor. He didn't know where the hell he was. This person didn't know where the hell he was at. I'm trying to tell you, this ain't no slave in the back with his fez and his turban on. That's something that we must know. That's George Washington. Chops down the so-called cherry tree, which is the Judiciary Act of 1789. First United States Bank, 1791. That was the debt system. And then Washington worships Allah and confirms the empire in the East while working to destroy it in the West. All this stuff is documented history. That's why I said our history is rich. And once we teach our people this history, the stuff that's wrapped up in the Masonic halls, when all your brothers that call themselves Freemasons lying to you, they ain't no, you can't be black and free. You know, I don't want to talk about a lot of this. I want to proceed because I want to show some things because we on good time. So right here, I'm going to show you all the treaty. This is a treaty. It's written in Arabic right here, and I'm going to read it in English so a lot of people can know that they got us arguing over religion, and most of the black preachers know this, and they getting paid. I'm telling you, to keep you as a Negro. I'm telling you, to keep you dumb and blind. I'm just telling what I know. But the Treaty of Marrakesh or Marrakesh of 1786, made between Khalifa Muhammad Ibn Abdullah, Islamic leader of the Moorish Empire, Maghreb, and the United States of America, the first page contains the seal and the introductory articles of the treaty, made in June of 1786 and later translated in 1787. The Arabic original and English translation protects all Muslims, Moors, from enslavement. Most of the 56 to 57%, according to Sylvian Diof's book, Servants of Allah, misnomered blacks captured in the slave trade were citizens of Islamic nations, Moorish nations that recognized the Caliph of the Moorish Empire. The enslavement of these Moors, Muslims, was a violation of national and international law. Now, why would anybody today want to identify to a slave, and you have a right of a nationality and a right to change it? The Declaration of Human Rights, and we are here arguing of where some misnomer white person come from, or do you know the name of the first person? You don't even know who you are. None of that stuff matters to me. This matters. This is what I'm teaching the babies. And if I have to move to Europe and teach this where it's popular and none of our people get it, and all of our people in America still get this religious Negro stuff and they'll never be free, that'll just happen for the next 100 years. Because this is known to others. This is talked about in the Masonic houses. The Moors of the West, who were misnamed Indians and Negroes, were also receiving tributary payment from King George III and his colonies. And when they, the whites, did not pay their citizens, they were held captives. It's a book, The Life of Charles Thompson, The History of the Black Lenabe, Nanticoke Moor Shackham, Tuscanegum, is discussed the tributary payment of the whites and Tedacushians choosing of Charles Thompson to act as secretary in respect to the interaction between the Moors, misnamed Indians and Negroes, and the white British subjects. Here are the records from the book, The Life of Charles Thomas. I don't want to read it all, but it's documented. It's documented, family. All this stuff is documented. Listen, it said the Friendly Association was first promoted in the 11th month, 1756, and continued to the 19th of the 4th month, 1763, during which the committees were annually elected by the subscribers, who met on the 19th of the 4th month in each year to receive from the said committee an account of their transactions and expenditure of the money raised, which amounted to 4,400, which was chiefly laid out in presents to the Indians and delivered to them at the public treaties, either by the governors of the Providence, the Moorish, and Dini on behalf of the subscribers. So paying tribute, Moor by nature and nationality, the oldest hieroglyphic of the name Moors, the Temple of Luxor, Timori, so-called Egypt, Kamut. You can look at this stuff yourself. You can fact check. It's on the network. It's right in your face. None of this stuff can be denied. We don't love ourselves. We don't love ourselves. We let other people tell us who we are. We let uneducated people tell us who we are. And you can't. The word that we commonly use, niggas, Niggas, also come from an ancient glyph, niggas. You can pull up the little European boy. They asked him to spell niggas in a spelling bee. The young boy was so intelligent. Can you give me the etymology of the word? Can you give it to me in a sentence? A group of ancient people from a certain area that was royal, niggas. He spelled it the proper way. He didn't spell it Nigga, like a lot of people that's blow up at the mouth. Or nigust or niggus is the hieroglyphic for the misnomer black people of Africa. We were the first ones to call ourselves by these names, and we understood the cosmic biochemistry meaning. And here is the glyph. Here's the glyph right here. It's undeniable proof. It's undeniable proof. If people can't have eyes to see, that's our fault. That's our fault. If people don't have eyes to see, that is our fault. You know? I'm not even going to deal with that, you know? Even our Prophet Noble Ali taught us certain things. Like when you say Muslim is derived from the Arabic, Hebraic, Ma, or Mo, which stems from the Egyptian Sumerian Mo, M-O-U, which meant waters. The root stem, the SLM, implies peace. So when you say Musalam, M-U-S-A-L-A-A-M, do you hear me always saying peace? Anything outside of myself in this higher Islam is true shirk. I tell everybody, I'm a Sufi. The Islam I'm under is Sufi, is Tasawwuf. I can give you all the ayats. But the waters that we are derived from are twofold spiritually and scientifically. The first is dealing with the placenta and our origin from the waters of the womb of our mothers, which is the woman. The second aspect deals with a verse of the spiritual science from the Quran in Surah 21. When we talk about the prophets or the Al-Anbiya, verse 30, it almost often translates, do not those who disbelieve see that we created from the water, the Alma, every living thing, Surah 2, Al-Bakari, the splitting, verse 21 and 22, O nation, serve your nourisher and sustainer. When in our moral science, we love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, the one who created you and those from before you, that you may guard against evil, who made the earth a resting place and constructed the heavens, and reveals revelations from the heavens and brings forth from its fruits in order to sustain you. So do not set up rivals to Allah while you know. You see, when we talk about the Masonic mental baptism of the misnomer Blackamoor or the initiate into universal Cyrus mysteries, when I tell all my people are initiated or baptized. It ain't no oath. They're initiated through the wisdom. The same way you do when in the Metanether, when you are initiated and when you baptized under the wisdom, under the degrees, under the order of Melchizedek, and I'm just giving you different sectors of wisdom. That's what we're talking about. It's always a form of initiation in any craft that you're dealing with. We're dealing with a lot of people that's not initiated and they're mentally destroyed. That's why it's no power with a lot of people. The power corrupts them because it should be a main mission, you know, and the mission is no hate. But when we talk about Isis or Cyrus or the spiritual law and the Nephilites or the Cyrus C commerce, the lineage, were said to be weeping from the death of Osiris. Cyrus B, execution of law. As is often the case with Masonic symbolism, the secret of baptism are involved in the ancient Egyptian the iconography and the hieroglyphics. In this image, the gods are portrayed, I just showed you, as weeping. Follow the analogy, as they are throwing drops of sacred water The Egyptian hieroglyphic, the MST, which looks like the threefold fall of water, actually means the dew. When me and my dad having a beautiful conversation, I said, when you wake up in the morning, the dew of the earth can take care of the plants, and portrays drops of water falling from heaven. The same hieroglyph also means instruction or teaching. You see that dual understanding? The 19th century Masonic scholar John Simmons believed that the sound values of the Egyptian hieroglyphs were more closely linked with the Hebrew language than with the Coptic, as was widely believed when examining the hieroglyph, the capital MST. He pointed out that the Hebrew IRE means to throw drips of water, to sprinkle, and to teach or instruct. So the IRE is related to the eye in English and Latin, and it's the eye of Horus that is seen over the pyramid representing the great architect. When you look at in masonry, that eye looks over the great architect, right? He further points out that the hieroglyphs is linked with the Egyptian baptism, with the notion of shedding celestial dew on the head of the neophyte or the student. Stay with me. That is with initiation. In support of his argument, he explained a plate which showed an Egyptian initiation scene where the gods Horus and Thoth pour sacred waters on the heads of the neophyte or the apprentice or the student. The one initiated in this way by the water and fire was called Hebrew or Mish, meaning something like begotten, also saved or born again, a word relevant to the new state of the neophyte who has been initiated according to Simmons, the Egyptian hieroglyphic equivalent to this MSCHE or this Mishat or this Moses, which me and my dad always talk about, beginning at Moses in the biblical scriptures, incorporated the image for dew, baptism, or celestial tears. It was the anointing of a master. So when you hear these people that talk that Egyptian stuff and they talking about, oh, we don't follow this, and they be listening to Bobby Hemmett, which no disrespect, how else you going to be introduced into wisdom? You ain't going to teach yourself this stuff. You ain't just came out the womb with all this wisdom and knowledge and know these other men neither. And they tell you not to follow nobody, but we follow them. No, we have maps and guides in the flesh. The Holy Spirit works through man. We talk about anointing masters. Those who have been translators of the original Kara language of the Blackamoors, now called Arabic or Syriac. All these ancient languages you must know of the Quran. But I don't want to stay so deep in that aspect. I want to move around because we on good time. What he say? Keep teaching, Sheik, please. What he say? Well, somebody said, give that man some donations. Yeah, y'all crazy. It's all good, man. I just hope everybody come together, man, and support something that's real and support our ministry. And we can have something amazing and get some literature and get some books. Subscribe to our Temple and School webpage, Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. If everybody bought literature from our companies and things, we'll be there. And when people give donations, all y'all got to do is hit me up. I'll give you literature. We can have something magnanimous so fast. And I'm honest and real. But ain't nobody donating no $4 million, $5 million to me. No, that ain't happening. So I want to go around a little bit and show some other things because we got a little time. This right here is a picture of the prophet and a whole bunch of other brothers and sisters. When our Masonic brothers and sisters be coming you, no disrespect, with that lower level Mason stuff, with that Duncan's Freemasonry with a European, it's not it. You know, you say, peace nomad, during a mental baptism, does a person have to die in a metaphorical sense? It's the same thing as like to be reborn in the Bible. Did you have to go in your mother's womb? So we get those things in context and say, what is that saying? You see what I'm saying, nomad? That's why somebody said, what'd he say? Man, I wish you was out here in St. Louis. I can fly out there. And I can come to what you said to your mother church, I'll teach. He was like, please, brother, don't get off the internet. I'm not. And thank you for your small donation. And you can share it. And I'm on YouTube as well. And y'all can come on here and share with the people. The only way it's going to happen is if people share it. This is the only way. And people give donations and help. I lecture this stuff in academia. I tell people, y'all want me to be gone in a minute to where Others are going to get the information, and we can share this information with small donations. You can build your whole library up. We can change the whole how we operate on this legal plane right now, today. How it's easy to do if we come together. So that picture I showed y'all, this is from the Moorish literature pamphlet, and this man is presented in the literature as Noble Drew Ali, you know, on the ancient architecture of the Moors and its Egyptian origin. And then once again, when the Nation of Islam brothers, they we don't know who Far Muhammad is. They always come with this mystery. We don't know who Far Muhammad it is. Everybody's gonna come with that stuff when they want to play a game, when they want to come with this magical stuff. That's what all these religious people do. So I'm not gonna play no religious game with a person. The person that they say that's Far Muhammad that you see on pictures and things and on documents, that's not Far Muhammad. But then in here, the picture in the back, David Ford, they try to say that ain't him neither. They try to say that ain't him neither, Malik. And they know good and well. They always try to play a game. And they always try to bring a person that don't look like you, pale with straight hair, to say this is your Mahdi, who after our prophet was died. So let me give you something to y'all. They say this picture right here is not Far Muhammad, that everybody be seeing. This picture right here, the Nation of Islam, they say from the government documents, that picture ain't Far Muhammad. But then I can show you pictures that even ancient people had with Far Muhammad, with J. Edgar Hoover, when they discussing the death of the Black Messiah. They just don't want to tell the truth. Well, then they say this European in the back is not David Ford or David Farr or whatever. They try to say that ain't him in the background with the fez on that took over the temple of the prophet. Whatever. We're not here to play semantics, but let's finish reading the doc. Okay, hold on. Where was I at? Okay. In October of 1928, let me go back. Let me jump up a little bit. The same David Ford, according to historical witnesses, was requested by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali to sit over the Moorish Science Temple of America as a helping guide to maintain order while Noble Drew Ali was dealing with law enforcement issues in respect to the death of Claude Green, a former member of the temple. In October 1928, the same David Ford is pictured at a convention of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated in an interview with Buzz Anderson in 1971 that he was never taught what the D stood for in the name of his teacher, W.D. Farr. And when you look up the Founders Day, when you see the little old man and everybody be like, is that Elijah Muhammad, brother? I don't know. Maybe. It could be. He talked about the first time I saw the feds, it was Farr Muhammad. And then he contradicted himself because he said he saw his brother, his sister-in-law, brother at the grocery store with a fez on that wasn't defiled. And he had a fez on and he said with the star and the crescent on it. And his tassel is cut. They always come with that half teaching. Talk about the first time they saw the fez was Farr Muhammad. That ain't true. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated in an interview that he ain't know what the D was stand for in Master W. Farr Muhammad went by. It's the same man, David Ford, W.D. Farr, that is witnessed in 1929 Moorish Science Annual National Convention as saying he would bring America to its knees for the death of Noble Drew Ali and attacks made on the Moorish Americans by local police in 1929. 1 month later, the stock market crashed, and many of the former Moors and Masons saw this man as a prophet and followed him to Detroit, where the Nation of Islam was born. In the beginning stages of the movement, he was known as Prophet W.D. Farr. And then they want to always play these games. Why? Why they want to play this game? You look at all these brothers in different religious regalia. They want to play this game because they know you were infiltrated and off the mission once the prophet died. They know this. Like, it's just what it is. And we're not going to continue with that black stuff going on if we say we leaders and righteousness. I'm not. I'll stand alone. All I need is the right people in the nation of the nation. And I showed y'all the laws say what we can do. We already operating lawfully. Now we just need the people. That's it. But Master Farr Muhammad, under the alias David Ford, pictured in upper left-hand corner. There are many Masons shown in this picture. The development of the MSTA saw the influence of many high-degree black Shriners, Masons, secret societies, particularly the ancient Egyptian Arabic order of nobles of the Mystic Shrine, started by Noble Ali Rofo Pasha and John George Jones in 1893. But the European Masons and the Black Masons, they call themselves the Ancient Orders of Noble Mystic Shrine in 1914. So who operating in clandestine? And who you getting your science from? The Moors. The secret societies played a major role in the events during the late 20s and 30s and governmental changes in America that have great importance to the events happening presently in the world in the respects to the subject of reparations and the New World Order. Come on, man. All this documents is in the Moore's Literature pamphlet, page 17 by our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and it was interviews with Anderson L. of Baltimore, done by Carl Evans and cited in The Messenger. I got all this. And then I'm going to show you all a picture of Elijah. You see Elijah Muhammad with the fez on? You see him right there? Or Elijah Poole Bay with his fez on. Because they knew. And then when the prophet died, they switched it up because they got paid. Just like the Big Six did. Just like Jesse Jackson them did with the African American Summit. They got paid. That's why blacks are never getting no reparations. That's why they be wearing you to sleep. And it don't even take me that long to show you how we can have liberation for us as a people in North America. Again, according to many research accounts, this man was a very mysterious man. We're going to get past all that. I want to get past all that. We don't got to talk about that. Let's get to the good part. Okay. We're talking about our point here for subject of reparations is that the impact of the motion started by Elijah Muhammad, because he did start something, cause of events like the Million Man March. And when the Million Man March, Farrakhan talked about some Willie Lynch, which is propaganda, It is. I'm down with reparations, but it got to be a nation building. And the early years of the Nation of Islam saw the continuance of similar nationalizing. It saw it, the nationalizing under what? Your religious laws. The process that the Moorish Science Temple of America had initiated, making members officially not subject 14th Amendment subject citizens, which these Negroes be promulgating now, some 14th Amendment. If the 13th Amendment freed all Negroes, what you need, the 14th Amendment. And we not no 14th Amendment subject citizens of the United States, but members, citizens of the nation under the status of Muslim Moors. In an article from Muhammad Speaks, a newspaper dated April 11th, 1969, entitled Clarification of the Actions Taken by Messenger Muhammad Against the Actions of Muhammad Ali. It shows you that they practiced this. So why they stop? Elijah Muhammad was aware of the secret religious and Islamic laws of discussion and their connection to American jurisprudence as well. His work and mission to prepare us spiritually as a nation according to the law of Allah displayed his sincere desire for us not to follow the footsteps of the nation that was taking itself on a course of destruction. We know this. And look, here go their identification cards, what they had when people try to lie. There they go. There they go right there. There you go, holding it, what he holding, his Quran with his fez on. I mean, it's in our face. And then when we talk about the 4th of July, look what you see. It's more science. The day of the Kiefer. When you get everybody, with all these pro-black people, clear, and they talk about they educators. You're not no educator. You passing propaganda because you don't know true history that the true elites use for power. You operate propaganda with that Negro back to Africa stuff. You operate propaganda. Clearly, you don't know American history. Clearly, if we still talking this back to Africa, slavery, the 4th of July, and don't know that's a cosmic event, and don't know everything, that's the day of the Kiefer. Don't know the significance of the 4th of July. I'm not going to even talk about it all right now because we're going to lecture it on later. But the Kiefer, the dung beetle, is the disc, the Cyrus, over the head of Pharaoh. You see that? Over the head of Pharaoh? You see that? Over the head of Pharaoh. We begin caught up with all these pro-black people, with all these Moors that don't know nothing, that's not educated, that's not historians, because they upset. It's only one science. You can't arbitrarily explain nothing. I don't care about the religion you under. That's meaningless to me. All that's meaningless to me. I'm not going to argue with people that we look alike and we can't have a common denominator, which is who we are. That's a mess for Moors to be arguing. We got the same Quran, we got the same history books, and we arguing over something that most of these Moors have no idea. Or the Bible is some white man. The Bible ain't no white man book, fool. How are you from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood? How can I teach you about all the first century church fathers was melanated? How? If I teach you they were Canaanite and Chaldeans. When I show the Hebrew Israelite, that don't make you know Hebrew because of act you've done. It don't change your lineage or your bloodline or who your father is. That is our problem. We can't agree. We can't walk out the house and agree. That's the problem with a lot of these people. They think they know something and they don't. especially Moors. We gravitate to the wrong thing. Like, this ain't no prison talk. This ain't no overthrowing the government. This ain't none of that. All this has been spoke in academia, and we are scholars. We are Moors. Our nationality and our spirituality, we must take it to the next level, and it must be preached in all the halls. It must be shared with all the Moors on the internet. I should be going to all your teachers and your so-called churches and your synagogues coming together. My library should be shared with all Moors, for you can have an understanding. The reason why most people don't know, because you're not introduced to the wisdom. And most Negroes diss things that they don't know, because it destroys their so-called religious dogma. And if you're a Moor, you're not under religious dogma. How can you be? How? But the kefir, the hieroglyphic symbol of the dung beetle, holding a solar disk, all this is more science. When you read in your examination, when we talk about the agina, when we talk about all this science, because words have synonyms, and in more science, we use a certain vernacular, but you don't understand language, and you don't understand wisdom and keys and history. You don't understand alchemy, none of that. All that's doing with more science. The beetle was the sign for Cancer before the crab. The astronomical and astrological sign of Cancer is from approximately June 21st to what? July 21st. You see, others use this for power. This is what's talked about in the Masonic house. In the Masonic house, all the things that I talk about is laid on the Masonic table. That's why they do everything is clandestine. Even in the Black Masons, they don't have these conversations because it's a joke. It's no disrespect. That's why Black Masons call themselves a widow son. And all Europeans know that they're sons of a Muslim. So who's stupid? The Black Mason or the European Mason? If the European Mason call himself or herself a son of a Muslim, and a misnomer dead Black Mason to call himself or herself a widow son, who's stupid? Think about it. Who wear their fez in clandestine and wear it all the time? And your task was not pinned down. See, this is understanding. We ain't coming from no jackleg internet people that's going to get you locked up, acting like some consulate general or all that criminal behavior. No. The solar disk held by the dung beetle is not representing the sun, but it's the star Sirius. It's on July 3rd and 5th that Sirius is aligned directly with the sun and earth. It's the center of the 70th day period of disappearance from the heavens. This is a special, a spiritual time period in the ancient Moorish nation, in Egypt, in Timora, the astronomical positioning of the planets, the suns, and this star at the center of the universe is a time of special spiritual force that affects all events on earth. It's not coincidental that America was founded on this day, July 4th, 1776, Moors. Right? Is it coincidental that Far Muhammad announced the independence of the nation on July 4th, 1930? Where do you think he got this from? He was aware of the ancient science of life that deals with the Cyrus mysteries that was reestablished by the family of Amram, the 18th dynasty of Egypt, the Moorish Israel, the world's first monotheistic culture of the present age of history. So what does a knowledge of the physical motions and geometry of the universe have to do with our concept of God, of self, and its accuracy or inaccuracy, brothers and sisters? Our subject is reparations. And in order to repair, we must what? Discuss the knowledge of self, of God, and go to its roots on all levels. And how can we identify the source of all universal motion of force? This significance of Cyrus and ancient traditions surrounding government plays an important role in the establishment of the government of the United States of America and in our own establishment of our own government that's materializing, which is the new kingdom. The only reason that people who rule unjustly have been able to rule unjustly is that they were dealing with a superior wisdom or a superior deception. Just like our prophet said, he's here to do what? Remove the veil on all religious dogma. I'm doing the same thing. I'm in the flesh. I've done the work just like our prophet did. You can't reach back because everybody's not going to reveal things. We can add on. I've done all the reaching back. All I need is my people. I have a school, a temple. We can make this worldwide. The same way people say they were going to do something, we can do it in real life and build a real brick and mortar. And I'm in Flint, Michigan. We can have one in Flint, Michigan. We can have one in St. Louis, where my other mufti at, where a lot of us are at. We can do this in these areas where a lot of our people left, and it's just sitting. Because in the city of Flint, it's so many abandoned churches. We can own a building right now, Buy one for about like 70, 80,000 already done. Just change everything in the inside. Just imagine we got 300 people giving $1,000 a year. That's 300 grand a year. Hold me accountable. And people done gave certain people millions of dollars and nothing happening. We can do this. And everybody can get a tax-exempt receipt. We can do this. It's that simple. It's that simple. We can change everything about us. You see what I'm saying though, y'all? The only reason that we don't know this, the Kepher is a very ancient netter. The Kepher is a very ancient netter. He is associated with creation and is usually called Kephira or Kepher, which means Kephara, the self-produced, represented by a scarab beetle, which is usually shown above his head. Remember in the Bible, Moses was learned of the science of all the Egyptians. So if Moses was learned in all the science of the Egyptians and his brother Aaron with his mouthpiece took the wisdom and taught all the people, what the hell you think Aaron or what the hell you think Moses taught Aaron? All the wisdom of the Egyptians, all the wisdom of the Egyptians. I hope we understand he couldn't teach them nothing else. He wasn't teaching them no Christianity. Sorry. If we talk about Moses in the beginning of Moses, then what was Moses learn? Egyptian wisdom. And if anybody say anything different, they lie. They don't study the scriptures. Sometimes the beetle is used in lieu of a human head, although it has been suggested that the worship of the Kepher predates the worship of Ra. Kepher is considered a form of Ra. It's said that Ra came into being under the form of Kepher. You know? It's the father of gods or the pantheon. Like when you're dealing with a certain wisdom, it's the pantheon. When you're dealing with a certain person, they're like, this is a grandmaster or this is a PhD. Like, yes, we're not dissing a person that got elementary wisdom, but if you're dealing with a person that got advanced wisdom and they righteous and they've been in academia and they lectured, they written books, and you call yourself for more and you want your kid to know something, and it's a historian, why don't we deal with that? We don't have to deal with no shade tree mechanics or no shade tree Moors that's playing a game that's talking about they got some damn court in their basement. Like, that's the stupidest thing ever. And you get on the internet and tell these fools your case. Are you retardo, fardo? We don't operate like that. So I don't want to stay too far in that Kepher stuff, but it's so much stuff, nobles and brothers and sisters, that can be touched on. I'll give a little bit as I close because I wanted to touch on this. Hold on. I want to touch on it before I get out of here. I'm not going to have time to touch on the white by law, you know, the legal construction of race by Ian Haney Lopez. You know, when I tell people, I'm not dealing with a lot of people that's not educators and don't know it and argue. When I say I'm white by law, anything else, I'm not dealing with arguing. I lecture this on academia. I challenge our people to come together and learn and ask some questions, ask your parents some questions, correct mistakes. You're not changing nothing. You correcting mistakes. We correcting mistakes, and everybody have the right to correct a mistake. Mistakes have been made. Mistakes have been made. So as we close, and if anybody like to give donations, please hit me up for y'all can get literature and come to class. I want everybody to come to class. We should be nationwide. We should be nationwide. I should have been done some lectures at my people establishments. I should have been came on one of my brothers and sisters' podcasts to clear things up, because there's a lot that need to be cleared up and people are afraid to tell the truth. So do anybody know what the sf-181 form is? If anybody heard of that, or do they know? You might have heard of it on TikTok, because on TikTok you just hear a whole bunch of people that's blabbing a whole bunch of stuff off. But do anybody know what the sf-181 form consists of and what it's all about? Do anyone? I know my muftis do, but do anyone or what it's all about? Nomad, do you or A Bay 7? You know, and this the thing when all these Moors be saying that they sheiks and they this, and then you ask them where they study at, and they say they have a sheik, and they be on my page every day, Nomad, and they don't ever come to class, or they won't pay homage, or they won't, you know, bring other Moors to class with them. You know, it's like, why don't we do that? Thank you, brother Nomad. You know we done came here. I would love for you to come to class, brother Nomad. I would love for you to come to class, brother Nomad. Brother Nomad, you know, with me, I have to deal with all. Just like when I ask a person what's the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, I say you got to quote me the whole thing because I asked for specifics. Just like if you was on Jeopardy, if you on Jeopardy and you don't answer it the right way, partial answer is still the wrong answer. You know that, and I know that. I'm not being a bullhead. I want people to know specifically and everything so you can quote it just like a rap song. That's the specificness of what I do. You know, when I'm operating. You know, so we can teach others. We're not just going to deal with partial things. We're dealing with all. So absolutely, brother Nomad. There's no disrespect. When we saying some things, we got to explain it all. You know, it's ethnicity and race identification. So now what does that mean? Now we get into the good part. Now every black person, misnomer that call themselves Negro, black, and colored African American, that come with that pride and ego, especially these Moors talk about this ain't for us. I'm an American. I know how to identify. If it's something to self-identify, I know how to do that. So now, brother, Nomad, it's ethnicity and race identifier. Now, what do that mean, though? Now what do it mean? Now, what do it mean? Right now, when somebody gets something put in their face, they got a job or anything, the census is put in your face. How do you fill it out? I guarantee you, everybody fill it out wrong. I guarantee you. And the reason why I know that, because this public information, a lot of people won't be honest. They'll just say some stuff on the internet, but they won't be honest. But everything is public information. You can look up a person right now and documents they fill out for census, for jobs, for cell phones, for anything. They say that they black, from black land. You know it and I know it. Am I lying about what I just said? If you haven't been properly educated. Why? Because this be passed down from your parents, from your grandparents. I told you we can correct mistakes. You don't got to change nothing. Your last name ain't not no slave name. You annex your L and B. That's the House during Resolution 75. So now back to what I'm saying. The ethnicity and race identification, what do it mean? What do it mean? Now, watch this. Because if everybody say they know what it means and they know the importance of it, why are we not doing it? Why are we having a conversation about somebody else? Why are we not doing this right here, this specific thing, this simple thing? If everything is wrapped up in self-identifying, when I tell people, what is the ethnicity and race identification? What do it mean if somebody asks you, state who you are for the record? Or if they give you a form and say, okay, who you are on this form? Somebody says status. Somebody says status. Okay. Now, I just showed y'all white by law. I just showed y'all white by law. That when I show historical documents and things, I've lectured this on the college campus. Remember I showed you white by law, the legal construction of what? White by law is the legal construction of what? White by law is the legal construction of what? White by law is the legal construction of what? Thank you, brother Nomad. I'm glad you said that, brother Nomad. Because see, what we do a lot of times is just guess and be like, oh, this right. Just like a lot of people be saying, well, this person is still in the breaking the law, just like in politics. And I say, well, let's audit them. Let's see if they're really breaking the law, or are you being personal or in feelings? So I'm glad you said that, brother Nomad. Brother Nomad said, I'm not sure what it means in context of properly filing. Thank you. So let me ask the question again. Peace, noble Mufti Dantes. Peace and love. I love y'all, man. Peace. Some good things getting ready to happen for the BBT, and I knew it. I told y'all, man, we're going to be asked to lecture, and a lot of stuff is going to change because I'm not going to be doing this no more. A lot of going to be private, and I'm going to be compensated for a lot of the work that I'm doing, but it's going to be systematically with a couple of different organizations. So a living, what do you say? A living. I don't understand what a living mean. A living what status? Remember I said ethnicity and race identification. So, okay. So let me ask Nomad and Stuart a question. Let me ask both of y'all a question right now. Let's be honest. If somebody puts something in your face with an identifier and it has certain things and it had Negro, black, and colored African American, just like the same way when you get a job and you fill out for race, what are you checking? I asked that. And everybody on here can answer if they be honest. This is when people say what we got to do. It's the basic self-identifying where you got to give names up that's synonymous to slaves for the record. We talk about international law. So what should we do? What's the next step? When anything is put in your face, what's the next step? When you have the right to correct things, to correct mistakes, we have the right to annex your L and Bay. When the religious right of the indigenous people, the Declaration of Human Rights, you got a right of a nationality and a right to change it. You said, I have always put white, but in recent years, I have only put American. Okay, now let's be honest. Once again, if a form was put in your face, let's just read the form. Let's just read it all. Because I understand, because if a person don't fill a form out the right way and there's certain things on there and you put other, the form can be void. If it says fill out a specific way, then that means that you know the laws and the rules. It's like if we was playing basketball and we playing pro and you get the ball and keep running with the ball and we keep calling travel. We like, damn it, you traveling. I thought you knew the rules of the game. You can't get mad at the rules. It's rules in the game. Law governs all events, So when forms been put in front of us, sometimes we can't put America. How are we going to put something that ain't there? It's something that's always going to be there on every form. It's something that's always been there from the beginning of time. If all the stuff is wrapped up in military stuff and this and that, it's something that's been there from the beginning of time. Nothing has ever changed. So if nothing ever changed, it ain't nothing that we change how we feel out to identify. If we understand about self-proclaiming, if we understand who we are, nothing changed. So if this form been put in front of our face, which add these specific questions on all forms of identification, when you get in a job, when you get in a cell phone, when you get any credit, it's a certain way how to do it. What you say? It'll lead to further damage. Because clearly it's saying that you don't know. Watch this. Let's deal with it. I asked a person again today, if they don't know, you fill out black or African American or black land, because you can't just fill American Indian as first opinion. Well, Nomad said Nomad said so. Okay, now let me see what Nomad said. He said, I always put white, but in recent years I have only put American. Okay, but on these forms you only can't put American. You said Nomad. This is what Nomad said, because I like his questions, because a lot of people be quiet when they don't know. And then it's not a such thing as a wrong question when you're dealing with academia, when you're dealing with a real teacher. So I give you honors, Nomad. It's no such thing as a dumb question. And I'm never going to tell you how I feel, because that stuff don't matter. How I feel. That don't matter in academia. That's why I'm a teacher. I'm a mower too. But is that the same thing? You said, so on the sf-181, it says American Indian as the first option. Okay, let's deal with it all. Now let's deal with it. The ethnicity and race identification. I asked, what do misnomer black people fill out on this? What will Nomad? If a person on here that's called himself a Moor, where he at? I saw a person like A7, and he said Islam. What would A7 fill out? If A7 got a job, he said he got Bay on his name. I asked all these people, I asked all this to Moors, Stuart says, now here goes Stuart. He says there's an other option which you can write in. Okay, elaborate on it. Elaborate on it. Now here goes Stuart said, he said there's an other option which you can write in. Write in it. What's the other option? Because we're here for study. Peace, Abe. Gratitude, Noble. He said there's an other option which you can write it in. So all I'm asking, when a person get a job, I hope we listen to what I'm saying, or you getting credit, or you fill out a phone and it got these questions on here. What do you fill out? And this is what I ask people, to be honest, because it can easily, we're not here to debate. We just actually, a lot of times we do things because we're afraid, because we're fearful of what somebody say. We're fearful of what a clerk will say. We're fearful of what somebody will tell us. American, if you choose. I said it was on the form. Well, now watch again. Remember, I'm not understand. We're not talking about arbitrary. We're saying what's on the form is, if you pull up the SF-181 form, that you can pull it up and we can look at it and we can go over it together. We don't want to just be making things up if you choose, because something has to be for everybody. Thank you, Brother Nomad. Brother Nomad, thank you. If we was playing football, I'd put so many stars on your helmet, because I'm asking specific questions. And that's why I be saying I can deal with honesty, because like you said, most misnomer people put black or African American. Thank you. See, brother Stewart, I understand it. The average person is not going to put American Indian and white. They not. They not. They not. The average American that went to public school, that's go to church every day, your mother, let's get our children, let's get our friends, the people that we deal with every day, because most people don't deal with Moors and have class. They on the internet. We have class. The people that we deal with every day, the people that we associate, a basketball player, an athlete, let's put them in front of their face, and I bet you they don't put no American Indian or white. I bet you they put the average person, they put black or African American. That's the only question I said. I said the average person. The average person. The average American, the average family member, the average person that we'll walk to, the average person that got a degree in so-called African American studies. That's what we're trying to educate each other. For we can walk out the house synonymous, for we won't be playing this game when we think we can get some reparations by identifying as slave or choosing to say, well, I'm just going to choose to be this. No, we can't do that anymore. So on here, you got your first and your last name, your social security number, birth date, all that, blah, blah, blah. Agency use only, ethnicity. The Privacy Act statement. It's a Privacy Act statement, and that's why if I did a pool in a room, we get 100 people in a room. I can kind of, because I've done it before, I can almost guarantee that over 50% of people will pick black African American. Over 50. And if over 50% of the people pick black African American, that's a major percentage. I can go on and say almost 80 to 90% will pick Negro African American, because we've done this in academia, especially with people that graduated from college that was taught wrong by misnomer black professors. That's all I'm saying. A lot of people, children, we can pull people, children aside right now, and people's spouses and wives, and they will say black. And I said, if that's the case, we ain't even taught our household. So we have no business of trying to debate nobody else or having a conversation of something else. And you can't even talk about this with your babies and your wife and your immediate family if they believe in reparations. If our household don't agree to this, and then they walk out the house as Negroes, What happened? I think my iPad dying. It's getting dark, so I've got to hurry up so I can get out of here. But ethnicity and race information is requested under the authority of 42 USC Section 2000 E16 and in compliance with the Office of Management. Yeah, y'all can go on my YouTube page, Noble, if my phone die. If on personal Facebook die, jump on YouTube, all the muftis. Of Budget's 1997 revision to the standards for classification of federal data on race and ethnicity. So I don't want to read all that. I can read it all, but I want to get to specific instructions. The two questions below are designed to identify your ethnicity and race. Regardless of your answer to question one, go to question two. Question one, this is question one. What you say? Oh, peace. Are you Hispanic or Latino? Question. A person of Cuban, Mexican, Puerto Rican, South or Central American, or other Spanish culture or origin, regardless of race. Of origin, regardless of race. What you say, Nomad, that means basically they employers will identify. Come on, Nomad. You see how this stuff is too simple. I said, I ain't even in complex wisdom yet. That's how you done by the yes. Basically, employers will identify yourself for you. Watch this. Watch this. Yep. Yes or no. Question two. Please select the racial. And I'm going to tell y'all something else. Most jobs, they'll take out insurance on you. It might be unethical, but it ain't illegal. That's another thing that you have to check too. Please, question two. Please select the racial category or categories with which you must closely identify by placing an X in the appropriate box. Check as many as apply. Check as many as apply. Now, the first one says American Indian or Alaskan Native. Now, it said check as many as apply. Having a person having origins in any of the original peoples of North and South America, including Central America, and who maintains tribal affiliation or community attachment. Asian. We're now remember in our Moorish Quran, the Uniting of Asia. Asian. A person having origins in any of the original peoples of the Far East, Southeast Asia, or the Indian subcontinent, including, for example, Cambodia. It's in your Moorish Quran, read it, the Uniting of Asia, China, India, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Pakistan, the Philippine Islands, Thailand, Vietnam, Black or African American, Black or African American. Listen to this bull crap. A person having origins in any of the original, Black or African American. A person having origins in any of the Black racial groups of Africa. It ain't no Black racial groups of Africa. It ain't none. You say, is Moorish lineage technically a Spanish culture? Ignore me. No, you're not wrong. If the Moors ruled Spain for over 800 years, it's Spanish. You got Morisco or Moradine. You got Islamic Moors or Christian Moors, the ones that understood what they was talking about. But yes, it's Spanish culture. I can pull a movie when they had, I forget the name of the movie. Y'all might know it. And they had the undercover cop. They was whooping him up, the gangsters, and they was whooping him, kicking his butt, the Italian mob. And he was like, you mad because you got that nigga blood in you. Because they know they Moors. You know? Black or African American, a person having origins in any of the Black racial groups of Africa, which is not one. It's not no Black racial groups. And yes, if my Facebook died, we on YouTube, family, but we almost done. But Black or African American, a person having origins in any of the Black racial groups of Africa, it's none. So anytime we talking that Black stuff, or preachers or teachers talking that Black stuff, you should just get up and walk out. Because clearly it's propaganda. They must, what, you some coal and tail person? Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander. Remember, in your Moorish Quran, what is it, chapter 25, the Uniting of Asia, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Hawaii, Guam, Samoa, or other Pacific islands. Now here go white. What is your nationality? Moorish American. What is your race? I choose Asiatic. What is my status? Free white. Now here, ethnicity, white. Listen to what it says. A person having origins in any of the original people of Europe. You are the original people of Europe, the ancient and modern Britons, David MacRitchie. Y'all know the scholar David MacRitchie. Read them. The ancient and modern Britons. Read the Corsica flag when you go into the Netherlands. A person having origins in any of the original people of Europe, the Middle East, which you know ain't no such thing as the Middle East. That's Africa, or North Africa. That's you. You can be everything but Black. You can choose American Indian or Alaska Native. You can choose Asian. You can choose Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander. You can choose white. You can choose all those if you want to. And there ain't nobody that pass you no paper can tell you not. You just afraid. Can't no stupid ass clerk at no office tell you that you can't fill out something. You just down there running your mouth too much. You down there talking, making a big grand appearance, and now you down there is correct a mistake. You shut up, do what you do, and you get the hell out of there. And I ain't had no problem. And I'm gonna teach this to the babies. And if it don't catch on with misnomer Black people, they're just gonna continue to be slaves. This need to be taught across the pulpit. Our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, we still think someone gonna fix it. So the authorities of these forums, so to speak, are benefiting off the confusion. Thank you, Nomad. Yes, you damn right. And it didn't take you all that long to say it. I teach civics class. Every student come to me, they be like, damn, my mother and them, why y'all steady filling this stupid stuff out wrong when y'all get the census? The census ain't nothing but welfare and cheap insurance and some damn cheap phones. That's the only reparations that niggas gonna get. You're not gonna get freedom. You're not gonna be restored back to your original state because they banking on the confusion of Black people. Do you steady filling out everything as a slave? Everything out your mouth, Black Mason, Black this, slave, slave, slave. It's all synonymous as slaves. So they are banking off the backs of the slaves not to know. Just imagine if the census came out and every misnomer retired Negro filled out the right way. What do you think will happen? The shift will happen. I lectured this in academia. When they had that big summit, when they had Carnell West, Tavis Smiley, and T.I. on that show, and my professors, we watched that in class. They said, they can't pay enough to have you on there because it'll take you 1 hour or less to destroy all those so-called professors, Carnell West, Tavis Smiley with them degrees teaching at Harvard, and they ain't quoted no law to what you've done, precedent of law to open up the eyes to all those students that's playing stupid and they collecting money. Ain't nobody gave me donations like that. And I have a degree. I end it all right then in the moment, in the blinking of an eye, and say that ain't no European lying to you. All these brothers that got these degrees by their names, that's Freemasons, that's preachers, they lying. That's what I'm telling you. And it can be proven. How? Because law governs all events. I ain't went outside of the parameters of the law yet. None of my posts, I don't get shut down as this is a propaganda or not true. It can't. Everything I talk about is written. So now what? Yes, the authors of these forums, so to speak, are benefiting off the confusion of so-called people. What so-called people? The misnomer black people that call themselves Negro, colored, black, African Americans right to this day. You said, she, why do they want to profit off the ignorance of the misnomers? Because there's multi-million dollars in the subjugation of Negroes. It's free money. It's just like the internet. Like my professor said, you should have been went viral, but goofy stuff go viral. Fighting kids in and telling this goofy stuff go viral. The benefits to them is that if we came together, it's no more free money. It's no more cheap labor. It's no more cheap jobs. We have our own infrastructure. You'll be able to create, you'll be able to do your own textile. You won't work for pennies. You don't have to go to those educational houses and pay all that money to get a degree when they only made up academic charges when misnomer black people went. We'll be teaching our own. That's how we'll have our own infrastructure, because we'll know the religious rights. We'll know that the money that we using, we can use it and donate to ourselves. We don't have to give it to Uncle Sam for no taxes. We can give it to our religious and charitable contribution of our choice. And I can give everybody a tax-exempt receipt. That's why a tenth means so much. And it fall on deaf ears to my family. That's why I say I take my business personal and I deal with different nationalities that's understanding what I'm saying. My family not going to get it. A lot of my immediate family, my mother and father get it, my muftis get it, but a lot of my family and friends, they're not going to get it. And I'm weaning away from them. Why? Because I'm growing. And a lot of stuff that I used to be into, I don't like it no more. I don't like us benefiting nothing. I don't like all our family giving their money away, then they filing fake taxes, and they could have donated to the religious and charitable contribution of our choice, and we could have our infrastructure and our libraries. And our family and friends giving all their money away to Uncle Sam taxes each year, and they could support us. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. The benefit is them. It's cheap labor. It's for us not being self-sufficient. It's the subjugation. Only thing we own is our schools and our so-called churches. We go to public schools. We go to these FBI churches, which is under the faith-based initiative. These churches are under the FBI, which is the faith-based initiative, where they have to teach Christendom. They can't teach nothing. And if they Freemasons, they under a certain doctrine. That's why they're not educated and be able to teach like this. That's why. So it's just subjugation. It's basically modern day indentured servitude. Yes. Remember, it's absolutely wrapped up in a way where you think you're free. I just told people about taxes. They could be complaining about taxes and all that. Why you think rich people, they think Donald Trump is not paying taxes? He do. He just don't give it to Uncle Sam. He support his religious and charitable contribution of the choice. All the rich people got nonprofits. And we listen to these goofy ass Moors. Oh, well, you got a 501c3 with that stupid stuff. We operate on finance. It takes money to run things retarded. We giving away to Uncle Sam willingly. And a lot of us let Uncle Sam take a lot of our checks instead of us siphoning to our religious and charitable contribution of our choice, which we own, and get a tax-exempt receipt and build our infrastructure and teach our own and wear our own regalia and have our own books and have the right to be private. That's what it is. But we're not going to get this education. Why? Because it was always taught to not teach the misnomer people who they are. Always. And I learned this in college. I got a damn Christian education. My master's degree is from Grand Canyon University. I got a dual master's degree in Christian linguistics and history and first century history. I got an undergrad in business. I can't be that crazy. If I lecture this to college students and our people still haven't caught on, I lecture this and get paid. And I try to tell my family and friends, and it fall on deaf ears. You said, you have said before you could give about 60% of your paychecks to a charitable foundation. I'll give an analogy. In California right now, if you're a person that makes six figures, you can get ready to give your money to Uncle Sam. In California, you can give 60% of your earned income to your religious, charitable, scientific organization of your choice. And imagine you got all your rich NBA players doing that. That's why they be broke at the end of the year. That's why they get Jewish money managers and they donate, you pay your taxes, but they be paying it and they be ciphering the money instead of you pay your taxes where you choose to and get a tax-exempt receipt and help your brother help his people. That's why I said I look a lot of my family side-eye because each year, oh, I got to do my taxes. My Jewish colleagues don't. That's why I laugh at misnomer black people. They give pennies to their family organization. I got over 500 friends and family that should be donated to our organization. Just imagine if 300 of my family and friends, my wife family, all them, if they gave $100 a month, that's 300 grand a year at the least. I buy a building. I have a library. I can't do it with my own dollars. I got to pay my basic bills. And this is what I tell people. Ain't nobody gave me $4 million. It fall on deaf ears with our family. Oh, I make this much. And then at the end of the year, they be scrambling to pay Uncle Sam some taxes. Your husband or your wife, you might be a minister in your household. Your whole family, at the end of the year, they try to pay some taxes. They don't even support you, and you give them a tax exempt receipt. They give you pennies. You can't even get your family to get 10% of their earned income. They give you pennies, and some of them make 100 grand, 80,000, because we mismanaging our money, because we think living is having a whole bunch of bull crap, going out to eat, doing all that. We'll never have an infrastructure because we give our money away to Uncle Sam, while the Jewish community, they don't. They support their religious and charitable contribution of their choice. That's what The Sopranos was all about. But we don't. We let people give a bad taste of righteousness, and it takes finances to build an infrastructure. That's why we tax exempt for the federal government. We can use our money that we give Uncle Sam willingly with misnomer black people thinking they're getting a tax return. You ask any Negro if they're getting a black tax return and ask them how much Uncle Sam took out their check for the whole year. They happy to get a small tittle, and you ain't getting nothing back what Uncle Sam took. You said, I think people are scared to give away their money, which is ironic because they spend it on McDonald's and trash stuff all day. Exactly. And $100 a month for a real movement to say, we got 300 people, because my muftis, I don't even ask my muftis to give 10%. My muftis give a certain percentage, and then I give them a tax exempt receipt, and they work for the temple. I give them an in-kind service receipt because they work for the temple, which you can do. And most of my muftis are ministers. They set up to where your regalia, if your house is set up as part of your ministry, I show you, you can claim these certain things. That's why I say it fall on deaf ears, we'll never have nothing. All my Jewish colleagues, they understand this. That's why the Sopranos was set up. That's why everything went through the church. Everything went through the church, and the church built the infrastructure. It was a religious community. That's why we ain't gonna have nothing. Why? Because the religious laws trump everything. Misnomer black people don't know this. That's why we don't have nothing. That's why we don't have no infrastructure. That's why we don't have our own charter schools. That's why we don't have our libraries. We say there ain't no libraries in the urban communities. Well, I have a library right now that I have with over 1 million books. I can build libraries all over. I can put libraries in every church, synagogue, or Morris Science Temple in the world. I have a full library. I have books that cost thousands of dollars that I converted to PDFs. If people just supported and bought our literature, you can hold me accountable. People can hold me accountable. If people came to Sunday school and adapt class and donated, if my family and friends donated, I'll do exactly what I said, but they don't. But they say they love me. Yes, it starts with us. As children, kids don't learn to prioritize their finances. The education don't teach them that. It don't. And even in the Bible, when big black people can out Muhammad, can out Jesus. In the Bible, it talk about finances and talk about not going in debt and talk about donating to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice for y'all can build infrastructure. It talks about this all through the Bible. Not going in mortgage, not going in debt. I teach this. And then the people that are around me don't even support it. But then they say I'm this and they love me. That's why I say we'll never have nothing. I've written a plethora of books. How many of my family went on my web pages and got the books? I got family and friends and loved ones and mother and father-in-laws and aunties and uncles, and they say they love the Lord not so heavy, they don't even support. So when I be talking, I don't hope people be getting upset. I only can talk about my life. No, our people be talking, but they say they love us. And then at the end of the year, we give our money away to Uncle Sam. My dad is right here. My dad is one of my biggest supporters. He understands this. He said, we giving our money away willingly and we can support our organization. And in one calendar year, we can have it. How? That the money that we giving to Uncle Sam right now, willingly out our check, we can cipher it. You can right now, you can file exempt. And the reason why you can file exempt forever, because you giving you ciphering your money to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice. That's how. And my dad is one of my biggest supporters, and I love him for that. My mom is one of my biggest supporters, and I love him for that. I love my Mufti support, but I try to get people to say, okay, if you working a job and you're not giving it willingly off top, at the end of the year, you about to owe Uncle Sam a bag, and you know I do. Especially people that be giving me pennies, then at the end of the year, be like, shit, can we work something out? No, you could have been working something out consistently each month and then working with me, and I can give you in-kind service, and then it'll offset what you give Uncle Sam. The whole thing is about giving Uncle Sam less money and using that money that you will give to Uncle Sam and decipher it to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice. Hold me accountable. I'll give you a tax-exempt receipt, and we'll have our infrastructure. We'll have our brick and mortar. I don't take our kids from nowhere. I'll give them something to go to compare to. That's what I'm all about. And all our family and friends work. Everybody on here work. And it fall on deaf ears to family. You say, I get it now. The First Amendment talking about not infringing upon our religious freedoms. No man, come on. And then life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It be missing. It be over these people's head, but it's so simple. It's so simple. I got it now. The First Amendment talking about not infringing upon our religious freedoms. You have religious freedoms. The rights of it, you have religious freedoms. We can give it to our religious organization. Absolutely. It didn't even take you that long, brother No Man. And I've been dealing with my family and friends for years. People be getting hundreds of thousands of money. Ooh, I got to pay my taxes. And then I'll be right here. And my professor will be like, well, why don't you just support your religious and charitable contribution of your choice? Your brother, your uncle, your cousin is a damn religious head in real life. Why are you giving your money to Uncle Sam? And then think this man supposed to pay and all this. This is this man's profession. You're taking money out his mouth. He can't have nothing. It'll fall on deaf ears to all our families. And I don't hold nobody else accountable. I'll be talking about my friends and my families, the ones that they say they get it, that's working. Oh, I got a raise and I do all that. And they still don't support. And they still, I got to pay Uncle Sam. We can be big. We can be magnanimous, and that's the problem. We don't support our religious and charitable contribution of our choice because we let these religious organizations fool us by not giving us tax-exempt receipts or not doing the infrastructure that we can buy property, that we can do things in the neighborhood. And if people gave 10% of their income, which you can, I can give everybody a tax-exempt receipt. This is what the Jews know when they split their money 3 ways. This is what professional basketball players don't know. When after they pros, they be poor. And you go back to the urban neighborhoods. Like I know people from Flint that play ball. Right now, I know my homeboy, my team, Charlie Bell, all them place where it ain't nothing on in the city. You got pro players now from Flint, like Monte Morris and all these people. When they done playing, what they gonna have? They ain't donated to no other organizations, and then they all want to do things on their own. You got to deal with a religious head, a spiritual educated head. Everything ain't just about dribbling no freaking basketball. We don't have no infrastructure for the kids. And if these basketball playing Negroes understood that, we have an infrastructure, a school, a library for our whole nation. And the people that's playing these sports, they can donate to our religious and charitable contribution of our choice. We can own something. It fall on deaf ears to our families. Everybody talk about, well, somebody doing this, that's the problem. But they ain't doing what we doing. You said Noble Drew Ali was essentially waking up the misnomer black, and Uncle Sam did not like it. Yep. He was showing you, and I show it today. I show my people, I say, is you working? Yes. Stop lying to people, talk about you don't pay taxes. We do pay taxes, but we can be tax exempt. Stop lying to the people. We have a tax exempt ID. So if we tax exempt for the federal government, religious, charitable, scientific, contribution wise, that means we need to be supporting something and getting a tax exempt receipt and give it to your tax preparer when it's time for you to do your taxes, because taxes don't benefit no worker. The tax returns benefit entrepreneurs and business people. I'm trying to tell y'all. That's why you think rich people, why you think Wesley Snipes got locked up and Fat Joe for tax evasion. If they so religious like they say they are, then you would be supporting your religious and charitable contribution of your choice. It show you that these people be capped. It show you that all that stuff, they support this, that they don't be supporting nothing. They'll support a titty bar. They'll support something when they got to do it and give away to something else. They ain't gonna support nothing that's real. Because they can't. We can. We the real people that can support something. Just like all these mega churches. We can do something. And it falls on our families. And it won't break nobody's pockets. Me and my dad talk about this every day. He say, I understand your plight. I understand where you at, son. A lot of stuff I don't like anymore. A lot of people I used to be around, I don't like it. A lot of stuff I don't like to do, I don't like it. The remote, it's all of them. And some of them under the FBI. The Catholics have a lot, but the black churches have a lot. These mega churches, they have a lot. They wouldn't be mega. It's an auditorium, and everything go to the preacher pocket. Everything don't go to me. If we raise the money, that means everybody is stakeholders. That means the operation is stakeholder. I'm just, how can I say, an employee of this organization. I only get my employee to do. I write books and do all that. Everything else go to ministry. This is what I be saying, telling people, and we give it all the way to Uncle Sam each year, Nomad, and we want a tax return. At the end of each year, Negroes scrambling, filing fake taxes, using their friends' Social Security, their kid baby, filing fake taxes. And then I ask people, how much have Uncle Sam took out your check out the whole year and how much you got back? You don't even know. People be letting Uncle Sam take the most out of their check and then think you're getting a return. Well, how much Uncle Sam took out you for the whole year and how much you get in return? You have no idea. And this is what I'll be telling people, especially my family, especially my followers. We can do something. Just like the Catholics, the Jews. Why? When I talk about the Sopranos, they say we donate to our religious charitable contribution of our choice. That's what we own. And I'm not black. You have lawyer and client confidentiality. Nothing about me black. You can't go sit and talk to a black preacher about anything. He gonna get subpoena. He gonna testify because they work for the feds. And most of them are under the FBI, the faith-based initiative. I'm not under that. I ain't took no oath. I'm telling my people we can do something with the money that we have. We don't have to keep giving away to Uncle Sam. The laws is set up that you have the right to do this. If you're gonna give it to Uncle Sam, or you're gonna cipher it and decipher it to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice and get a tax exempt receipt. It's that simple. Yep. Thank you, Abe. Government is pretty much saying you don't know how to allocate your funds, so we're gonna do it. Thank you, brother Abe. I'll be waiting for people, especially more, to tell the truth. Well, money ain't no this fiat. Man, shut your goofy ass up when I be telling them more. The fiat, but you take your stupid ass to work. Your wife take her ass to work every day. Or you dealing with a chick on welfare. Shut the dumb shit up. We keep it real, brother Abe. The government is pretty much telling misnomer black people that you don't know how to allocate your funds, so we gonna do it for your stupid ass. Excuse my candor. That's exactly. And you say that you got somebody in your family that you say love, that's tax exempt for the federal government, religious, charitable, scientific, educational wise, donation wise, and you don't even support it. And then complain about what we don't have. We don't have our own people that's teaching this. I'm educated, I'm anointed. We can do it. Hold me accountable. I can give everybody a tax exempt receipt, brother Abe. That's how simple it is. And I got over 300, 400, 500 family members that say they love me. I done written books, over 20 books. I got clothing on Moore's Haberdashery I done made for my brother, workout clothes, all type of stuff for our culture, turbans, fezzes, everything. People don't support. And then family say, you should have this. How the hell I'm gonna have it? I ain't rich. And I damn sure wouldn't spend my own money. I want us to have something. I'm a stakeholder too. Right now, it's a building in the city of Flint for 100 grand. I say we can work a deal and get it. And then the people donate it consistently each year. We got infrastructure and we go to the next city. We go to the next city, Why? Because the money coming in. We can't even get our own family and friends to support it. And then at the end of the year, they talk about, I got to file my taxes. And then a lot of people doing fake taxes. And y'all know it. And we giving our money away yearly. And we have the right to donate to our religious and charitable contribution of our choice. So why are we giving all our money to Uncle Sam? Why are we giving all our money to Uncle Sam? You ain't getting no benefit of it. And they laughing. I paid my taxes. Yeah, you giving it away. We can have our own religious and charitable school with fezzes and turbans. We don't have to assimilate with no one. We can have our own temple and school when the kids get out of school in the summer and they ain't nowhere to go. We can have it. We can be feeding them. I know how to do it. My dad used to be the executive director of Genesee County. I've had a profession in real life. I work so much. I know how to get things done in real life. And I'm an educator in real life, an alumni from 3 universities. I'm in Flint, Michigan right now. I just went to Howell, Michigan, where I got my undergrad from and lectured to a room full of Europeans and got a big ass donation. I can't even get misnomer black people to donate $5. I can't even get people that go to church every day, have me come lecture at their church in Black History Month, but I go to European churches. This the irony of what I'll be saying. When I say, I don't know what y'all talk about, some white man, the devil, all the white Masons I know that they sons of Muslims. Everyone. My white European Mason, he did a whole lecture of paying homage to Noble Drew Ali on his 135th birthday, and I shared it on YouTube. This what I'm telling us. We got to put some money behind something. So I blame it on my family. I don't blame it on nobody else. I blame it on my family and the Moors. When I say family, the ones that look like me, the ones that got jobs, and we're like, what can we do? How can we do this? We need a voice for us. Here it is right here. We don't got to talk about no TD Jakes or all them mega churches. We mega. How? Because we giving our money away right now, and we giving away pennies. That's how. We live way above our mean for nothing. We want to eat crab boils and have a whole bunch of clothes. And every time we go somewhere, we buy new clothes and we ain't even wear the old clothes. Man, I shop at Ross. I like to be fly. I shop at Ross. No, man. I told y'all, if a city, I'm in Flint, I can buy the whole city of fucking Flint right now. Excuse my candor. If I showed you what I'm out right now, me and my Muftis own 10 acres in Mojave, Arizona. We raised $10,000 of our own and bought 10 acres we own. Now, right now in the city of Flint, we can own a whole block with builders on it right now. Right downtown in the city of downtown, it's a whole block with builders on it. Man, the whole neighborhood is for sale. Man, I own down there a whole block. It's cheap. And it didn't even take no 100-year gold. It don't take. It's cheap. That's the Great Migration. We come to an area that people left. The city of Flint, St. Louis, where my Mufti Dantes at, the people left. It's there. We got to come take it over to this. And it don't have to be no 100-year goal. It's every 300 people right now on the right mind give $100 a month. At the end of the year, that's 300 grand at least. This can start right now in one calendar year. And if we continue to give that money each year, it can happen. We don't need no 100-year goal. Because I got family, I got a family of friends right now. I can't depend on them. And I know 300 family of friends. I got aunties, mother-in-law, father-in-laws, wives, cousins, friends, uncles, aunties, people that say they Moors that follow me. This ain't no 100-year goal. This is a couple of years goal. That's why I be telling people we don't have time. This don't take long. This don't take long at all. I just gave real numbers. 300 people giving $100 a month at the end of the calendar year, that's 300 grand. In the city of Flint, we can buy a whole building right now, a big infrastructure for less than 100 grand. If the money keep coming in, the lights on. We can buy block by block. And then in the urban neighborhoods, which I live in, the side streets, most of the houses are tore down. So you buying these lots, it's like side streets. One side of the street, it used to be 20 houses. The other used to be 20 houses. Now today, it might be one house on each side. We bought a whole block for change. We bought a whole block for change. I know landscapers and all that. And then we don't build no old houses on it. What we do, we put modular homes on it. Or we put Amish cabins on them that we can build the subfloor and boom, they just put them down, boom. And we have our religious community. I'm telling you, it's that simple, right? In our urban neighborhoods, it's that simple. This don't take no long time. I watched my Jewish professor do it in Arizona. They got a big elementary school, daycare, all that. Now they got a high school. They're like, your people just have to catch on. They were like, your people have to catch on. If I was in that set as a Catholic, under that, I would be with them. But I'm a Moor. I'm trying to liberate my people. I can be sitting somewhere and not dealing with y'all and shut this internet down and be all this, but I'm trying to do something. When I ask for donations, I don't ask for a whole bunch of money. I ask for small donations so I can share stuff with people. Like this book right here. This book on Amazon Stacks. It's called Criminalizing Their Race. I print and bind these and convert them to PDFs and share them with people. But it don't take that long, brother, Nomad. It don't. If Noble Drew Ali them did this years ago and had the Moorish Science Temple, like I'm in Flint, Michigan. You pull up the Moorish Science Temple of America in Flint, Michigan, man, they've been abandoned forever. The phone has been disconnected because when Negroes don't organize, we lose stuff and we lose things for pennies. Like black people don't tell the truth. In the city of Flint, where the property taxes is nothing, if you're not paying the property taxes, these misnomer black people losing their property for pennies. I know this for a fact. I know too many people have lost property for pennies. But this is the thing. We won't come together. We won't put no money behind nothing. And we so cheap with our own people. But then we'll be all happy to give somebody else something. Look at what they doing. How you think they did it? They did it the same way I'm talking about. And then once they get grant writers, stuff that you don't have to pay back, then you go that route. But we ain't even there yet because we can't even get people to donate. And that'll change it right there. We have the right to do this. And that's what I'll be saying, family and friends. Family and friends. Well, that's what I meant more so 100 years ago when Noble Drew Ali, absolutely, started the temple. He envisioned the future you are describing. Thank you, Brother Nomad. Yes, and every elder I deal with that's righteous, even Black Masons, they be like, brother, you so powerful. I hope they accept you in these houses. I hope they accept you in the Messiah Hall. You can change everything. Here all these black preachers, all these brothers on the internet, and they ain't had you come speak. They ain't had you come lecture. I done written all these books to clear up the science. It ain't flew off the shelves. If all my people bought books and bought literature and bought feathers and turban, I use the money that I raised for the business that I have and spend it on the temple. and spend it on infrastructure. Hold me accountable, because it's only a small percentage I need to live off of. And I'm a creator. I do business. I love to work with my hands. I power wash houses. I do decks. I do anything that it is to get the dollar. I'm an ADHD. I help kids graduate from college. I'm an entrepreneur, a personal trainer, all that. I help kids graduate from college. I'm an author. I have a full library with over a million documents. People should help us, but it don't. And so I give honor to my muftis, to all my muftis, to my mom and my dad, the people that support, even the people that started to support and stop. A lot of people will get personal with you, you know, and I'm just going to be only transparent, especially when you're dealing with in personal relationships. I'm just being honest, because a lot of people don't give their own spouses that respect, no matter if it's husband or wife, but they respect others. And that's the problem. That's the problem with a lot of us. We be too personal and don't recognize the anointing on that you have right in your own freaking house. You have an anointing right in your house, the halo right over your house, and we don't support it. And our families, our friends, our moms, our dads, we go to other houses and give funds away. My mother, she like to go to, like, because I'm not a flat, I don't have a brick and mortar. So my mother is an entertainer. She go, but she don't give her money to these organizations. She support me. And that's what I tell people. My dad support me. My family should be my biggest supporters. And we have a brick and mortar in one calendar year. So yes, this is what Noble Drew Ali was talking about. If Noble Drew Ali was in the flesh, he'd be like, this is what we've been talking about. Like what this man is doing. This man is willing to educate himself. He has the keys, you know, and you can have your own infrastructure. So you don't got to complain no more. So when your kid go to public school, they can talk about certain things from scholarship and they'll have to be shut down. And then someone can come and represent them in their best interest lawfully. You see, that's what this is all about. And we can take back our religious houses. We can have our spiritual houses, because that's all we own. Our literature, our newspapers, all us Moors and brothers and sisters could come together. I'm in the city of Flint, and I want to have our first brick and mortar in the city of Flint. The Burning Bush Tabernacle going to take over the Moorish Science Temples because they're not operating. I tell everybody, pull up the Moorish Science Temple in Flint, Michigan, and see could you find who own it. And I go there. They got boards on the window. It's a mess. These Negroes be acting like Ninja Turtles. So we need to have something and establish something so we can resurrect who we are. And we can buy back the neighborhood, and we can do great migration, because the city is for sale, especially where misnomer Black people are. Nobody's coming to your community but poor people, Europeans that's going to take over your neighborhood and push you out and push you to the projects like they did before. I can show you our documents. We can talk all day. I've been going almost 3 hours. I'm almost 3 hours in. And it takes so much. That's why we need our own temple and school, so I can go live and people can be there. We can have scheduled classes. People can come in town. We can travel. We can have real conventions. Because I talk about agriculture. I talk about microeconomics. I talk about using your funds. I show people how to buy plight in your community. I don't do no fake stuff. I don't talk about sitting on your butt. I show you how to buy plight in your community, and then the people that you know fix it up. Have you talked about Black Wall Street before? Was that essentially what you trying to create? Well, Black Wall Street, you know, I don't want to call it Black Wall Street, but a community of religious community that operate on principles that you don't have to go outside, because your neighborhood you can own. So your neighborhood under your religious laws, like in my neighborhood, the city of Flint, if you own 2 blocks or if you own a block, it can be a religious community. You can own those things. So yes, because we are under the religious laws. And if we understand that, we can buy back blocks. And we always want to operate on the religious laws, because our religious laws trump everything. Our religious laws trump everything. Our religious laws protect us. You can wear your fez in the court, your turban in the military. If you know the precedent in law case, on a job, they just don't want you to wear the tassel. So it's so much things that, yes, you want to be considered a religious community. Absolutely. But a lot of our family and friends, they don't support. And I say, you can do anything. You got to support your family, your friends that's doing something that's real. You could own enough land to start a township, I assume. Yes, you can. Like in St. Louis, where a lot of communities left. Yes, we can own a township. I'm glad you said that. In the booklet, how the Moorish Science Temple is made up, the state booklet, a community, a principality, a school, a municipal. Yes, that's what you're absolutely right. We own 10 acres right now in Mojave, in the middle of Mojave and Arizona. In Vegas, we own 10 acres. That can be a religious community right there. a nation in a nation. Have to do some things. The religious laws trump everything, but it fall on deaf ears on our people. And like brother said, the government, if you don't understand how to use your money to build your infrastructure, the government just gonna take it and it's gonna go to a private banking system. Well, if that's the case, treat me as a private banking system, because your money for taxes don't go to run the United States of America. You thought that, but you wrong. And everybody paying taxes. Moors be lying. If you live in a neighborhood, you got a job, you paying taxes. If not, you behind on your property taxes. You got a car, you register your car. You buying items, you paying taxes. Now, all my movies, I tell y'all, the religious laws trump everything. And you can use your tax exempt status to pay no taxes everywhere you go. Everywhere. And if you organize right, when you go to the grocery stores, the organization, you can ask, do they take tax exempt status? And your organization can get that tax return every quarter like we done before. I teach this if we come together, and that's what this is about. And it fall on deaf ears on our people. If our family and friends and all more share what I'm talking about and support all the way that they can, we can be there. We can be there. I said, if we had 300 people right now just giving $100 a month, that would be 300,000 at least. Hold me accountable. I'll take 100 grand and buy our infrastructure. I'll build our library. All the books that I have, I'll have the library. I have laptops in there. I teach everything. We have skilled trades because I teach so much. You know, we can have an infrastructure. But our people don't understand that we have to use our own dollars. And it fall on deaf ears to our family. And the only way we can have something is our family understand. And if Moors that understand my voice, that's family like me, we come together and we do something. And we say, let's try something that's real and hold me accountable. That's the only way we can do it. And it's not going to hurt nobody. Especially when I talk to all my family and friends, it don't hurt nobody. We go out to eat all the time and be like, damn, I can be supporting my brother with $100 a week or every other week or a month if I ain't doing nothing, or $200 a month, I can. And let's imagine if family members gave $200 a month. Man, now we don't raise 600 grand. We don't raise almost $500,000 in 1 year just off $200 a month with 300 people. And we can't get our family to be consistent, our loved ones in the same house. And that's why I tell people, until we get our own family and friends on the same boat, we can't expect nothing from nobody outside. If your immediate family, your friends, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your wives, or your husbands, or your in-laws say, do you support your son-in-law? That's a divine minister, that's an educator. Do you give him donations each week? Nope. Your cousin? Nope. Your wife? Nope. Your husband? Nope. Your auntie? Nope. Your friends? Nope. The Moors that follow you, do y'all get a donation? Do y'all got chic books, literature? Nope. Well, how are we gonna have something? So once again, I love y'all, man. Please subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube page, which is Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. If you'd like to give any donations to our Temple and School, we do use Venmo. It's bbtsciencetemple.com, Burning Bush Tabernacle. We do use Zelle. It's connected to my office number. My office number is 602-473-8767. That's Zelle. I also use PayPal at paypal.me/IBNAELBEY7. And if you want to donate, let me know and I can give you books, I can give you literature, because we operate on donations, and I can give you a tax-exempt receipt. That's how we can do it. And I need my family and friends to support. If not, what's the mission? What's the purpose of me being around anybody or saying we love each other? Because I take this personal. I stand for someone. We gonna fall for anything. I take this personal. This is my personal business. This is my life work. And if I've written books and all that, and my family and friends can't get them, my spouses can't get them, my mother and father-in-law, my cousin can't get the literature, and you or the PDFs, or even get it and put it on the shelf and say, at least I supported you. What's the purpose of doing it? A person like myself might as well be alone. A person, no disrespect, and I'm not saying that, I'm just saying sometimes how I feel, and I'm just being honest. You might as well be single. You might as well live on your own and be a hermit and just do your life work instead of people being upset about you because your life mission has changed, or you like doing other things and you feel sad that you done written all this literature and you got a ministry and you ask people to help you support with donation, and your own family don't support, and they all work and they all get money and they won't support a small tittle consistently, or they'll start giving something and then they'll totally cold turkey, but then they'll say they love you. That's what I'm saying. You see? So this is personal with me. And it's going to always be personal. Why? Because this is my life ministry. I don't know too many people that's written many books that I have, and you don't either, that have a library with 1,000,000 books and documents, that went to academia, that studied, that traveled on his own dime, that go to prisons and everything, that converted books that cost thousands. All I need is the people support. And I'm no good without the people. I'm no good without my family and friends. So if people want to support, please do. And please subscribe to our Temple and page, our Temple and School YouTube page and Facebook page. Because when we have those scheduled teachings, all our information be at the bottom. All our companies, Morris Haberdasher, bindedbooks.com, mypdfbooks.com, that's books with the Z, ALO Design Pros, Herbs of Mayat, my brother Brian Higgs Bay, his Transportation of Raw Materials album. We do a lot of stuff in-house. We have so much clothing, especially Moors. We got fezzes, turbans, kufis, tunics, cotton and silk. All we need is the people support. And we have our brick and mortar right in the city of Flint. And when and people that know me, I had a charter school in Arizona that I used to rent, and I had a building I used to rent off my own dollars, and I didn't even have a whole bunch of people. My family used it, and I didn't even have the support of my family. I had the support of my mom and my dad consistently. Everybody else I met, and I ain't even from Arizona. It's people that I met. That's why I say I'm a divine minister, and I'm not going to let no one discourage me from doing my ministry. I'm going to keep seeking out people. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep writing literature, keep lecturing, and I hope it catch on to my people before I'm gone. But I need my people to support, and we can have anything we want, and all I need my people to do is hold me accountable. What you say, I will say this, your video are shadow banned on YouTube as many times I've not seen your videos when searching for them. You say, I will say this, your videos are shadow banned on YouTube so many times I've not seen your videos when searching for them. Search for them. Kari Ibn Hakeem Goodman Bay and Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. Share it. Put your notification on. Subscribe. All you got to do is subscribe to my YouTube channel, my personal YouTube channel, which is Kari Ibn Hakeem Goodman Bay. Subscribe to my personal channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, and put your notifications on and you won't miss out. And then if we share with everybody, that's how we won't miss nothing. Put your notification on. I'm telling you. I don't, and then if I had a moderator, maybe I got something wrong that I set something up on YouTube, because I'm always messing with something. My empress will tell you. I may have something wrong. I don't know how to work this. I know I'm monetized that I can ask for payments. Some stuff be green dollars, some stuff be blacked out. So I don't know. That's why I said, if I had a moderator or someone that can assist me and all this and be my moderator and be like, oh shit, you got this wrong. You need to do this, blah, blah, blah. Because when you go on my YouTube channel, my personal channel and on our temple page, you can see my store and everything when you subscribe to Kari Ibn Hakeem Goodman Bay YouTube. All that stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, on which maybe someone can help me. I don't know. But with that being said, what'd you say? I don't think it's anything you did wrong. It feels like the YouTube algorithm is biased. We got to keep putting it out, y'all. We got to keep sharing it. We got to keep sharing it and liking it. We got to get the algorithm. We are the algorithm. Remember, if we got Instagram, Facebook, we got to share it. We got to share with our people. We got to do put in a search engine. We the algorithm. I share that differently. We the algorithm. What you say, Omar? Yep, you say I get alerts for each video. Thank you, Omarion. Omarion Fargo said he get alerts for each video. If everybody set their alerts on, if everybody share it, then we can't be shadow banned. We'd be too powerful. We create our own algorithm. And then I'm on Facebook. A person can share it on their own. A person can share it on their own YouTube, on their own Instagram. No one can stop us because it's all avenues. And people got their own Instagram. People got their own Facebook. Can't nobody stop it. I can be shared on everybody else's platform. We can create these things. We can create a lot of things if we come together with our think tanks, because the people just need the support. We can create a lot of things. Just like I tell people right now, when people say a lot of stuff we teach, a lot of stuff shouldn't be shared on Facebook, but everything got shared because I want people to know. But if that's the case, just use Zoom. Like when people had that, I forget that stuff they tried to have on TikTok, and they said, oh, and they said, oh well, other people coming in because I use private Zoom. When I doing lectures and have private teachings, I use private Zoom, and I have hundreds of people on it. When I teach academia, when I'm tutoring students, I use private Zoom. It ain't for the world. I use private Zoom, and if anybody want to go on private Zoom and share it, I can have hundreds of people on private Zoom. We just pay for the platform. That's it, and everything be private. Everything don't have to be shared, but the people must support it. The people must support it. We don't have to change nothing. I said we can be private. We have the right to be private. We come together on a private platform. What? Zoom meetings. We share with everybody. Everybody get the Zoom address. You log in, boom. And then if we want to log it to share certain things or snippets to get the world to come together to see what we're doing, yes. But we have the infrastructure. We need to have people come together and share this. That's why I'm saying, just like all the people here, let's do something. I can teach every day. I can teach at specific time each day. Brother Nomad, create a podcast. I've been telling my muftis to do it. We got a podcast called Journey to Knowledge of Self, and we don't even use it that much. I'm about to be on some other people podcast, and they just paid me. And I said, it ain't about being paid. The information that I'm talking about, they say, well, I'm about to make somebody else go viral on a podcast, and it can be us infrastructure. It can be our own people. That's how messed up we don't use our own. All the books and library, I'm going to make somebody else famous. They get ready to buy all the books for me and use it on their own platform, and people don't take advantage of me. And I said, yes, use me up. And I have to go where it's like Cheers, because I've been saying this forever. I've been saying this forever. And we can do this, but we don't. We can support, but we don't. We make excuses, and we give our money to Uncle Sam. So I've been going for 3 hours, man. I love y'all. Inbox me, hit me up. Y'all know my office number, 602-473-8767. Hit me up. Talk to me. Call me. Get some books. Go on morrishaberdasher.com. Go on morrishaberdasher.com. Get some regalia. mypdfbooks.com. That's books with the Z. Download some ebooks, or bindedbooks.com, or hit me up, and I can give you a bundle deal. I'll give you a bundle of my books, ebooks, all 11 of my books for a $40, $50 donation. And you can print them or bind them. Let's have some conversations. Let's get this conversation going so we can resurrect things. So with that being said, man, I love everyone. Thank you for for listening to me. Thank you, those that support it. But like I say, everything that we do, we charter. Everything we do, we legally. We have our own Muftis of Allah. If we wanted to be armed, just like the so-called Ku Klux Klan, all we have to do is get permits to do things, because I'm chartered the right way, and nobody can stop this fraternal order. So I love y'all. Please hit me up, y'all. Stay in communication. Share this with your friends. Anything that y'all confused on, y'all can hit me up, inbox me. Let's keep this cipher going. Y'all got my number. Please support this ministry and support the Born in the Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. Look up our websites, bbtsciencetemple.com. I love y'all. Please, if you don't know something, it's never a such thing as a dumb question. Peace.